Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am Trần Phước Lĩnh, Head of the Department of Research and Project Development at SEAMEO RETRAC. Welcome to the Educational Forum on Practices and Solutions to Sustain the Quality of Education in the Post-COVID-19 Pandemic in Southeast Asia, organized by SEAMEO RETRAC on September the 29th, 2022. The forum is organized back-to-back with SEAMEO RETRAC's 25th Governing Board meeting. The forum is using a hybrid approach, integrating a video conferencing platform on Zoom and YouTube Live, and a face-to-face forum for speakers and participants in Cam Ranh City, Vietnam. Thank you for joining us today. I am very honored to introduce to you our distinguished guests and participants of the Educational Forum today. From SEAMEO Secretariat, it is my honor to introduce to you Dr. Ethel Agnes Valenzuela, Director, SEAMEO Secretariat. From SEAMEO RETRAC, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Phuong, Director, SEAMEO RETRAC, Vietnam. I am very delighted to present to you distinguished speakers of the forum who are SEAMEO RETRAC's Governing Board members from Brunei, Darussalam, Cambodia, Lamphoune, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. We are also pleased to welcome distinguished guests, participants, and SEAMEO RETRAC management attending the face-to-face forum in Cam Ranh City, Vietnam. Last but not least, it is our pleasure to have the attendance of participants from different educational institutions in Southeast Asia and many other countries in Asia attending the forum on the Zoom and YouTube Live. Once again, welcome all of you to the Educational Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, and now I would like to briefly go through the agenda of our forum this afternoon. The forum starts at 1:30 p.m. and is scheduled to end by 5:15. The forum will start with the welcome remarks by SEAMEO RETRAC Center Director. Next, we will have a keynote speech by the Director of SEAMEO Secretariat. After that, there will be 2 country report sessions with 8 presentations by the speakers from Brunei Darussalam, Cambodia, Lamphoune, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. There will be Q&A sessions after each session and a 15-minute break between the 2 sessions. The closing session will be tentatively at 4:55 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, to start the forum, may I now call upon Dr. Phuong, SEAMEO RETRAC Center Director, to the stage to deliver her welcome remarks.
Distinguished Dr. Ethel Valenzuela, Director, SEAMEO Secretariat. Distinguished SEAMEO RETRAC Governing Board members and observers. Distinguished participants from many countries in Southeast Asia and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of SEAMEO Regional Training Center, SEAMEO RETRAC, I would like to extend my warmest welcome to all of you to the Educational Forum on Practices and Solutions to Sustain the Quality of Education in the Post-COVID-19 Pandemic in Southeast Asia. As you see, the educational systems across the region have experienced unprecedented disruptions during the last 2 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has strong impacts on the education across the region. Schools have to face a lot of challenges due to the unprepared and sudden massive shifting from the traditional face-to-face teaching to online virtual teaching practice. The school closure at the severe time of the pandemic and the sudden change of teaching and learning modality have led to certain laws in the curriculum implementation and the negative impacts on the quality of teaching and learning during the pandemic. The forum this afternoon will focus on introducing and discussing innovations and best practices that have already been implemented from different countries in Southeast Asia in order to sustain and enhance the quality of education among the countries in Southeast Asia. This is to mitigate the educational disruption and serve the need, which is to sustain and enhance the quality of education in the post-COVID-19 pandemic. Distinguished speakers and participants, SEAMEO RETRAC is organizing this forum back-to-back with our governing board meeting this year. Speakers at this forum are SEAMEO RETRAC governing board members from 8 countries in Southeast Asia. Especially, the forum will have a keynote speech delivered by SEAMEO Secretariat Director, Dr. Ethel Valenzuela. The purpose of this forum is to create an opportunity for the governing board members to share good models and practices in this area as an effective responses to critical challenges and their negative effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on their respective countries. The forum is also for interested participants to update themselves with and to learn from practices, policies, solutions to sustain the quality of education in the post-COVID-19 pandemic. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the speakers of this forum for spending your time to prepare for your presentation and to share it at this forum this afternoon. Thank you very much, participants from many countries in Southeast Asia, for your interest in this forum. I hope you will find the forum interesting and useful for you. Last but not least, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank SEAMEO RETRAC team for your assistance to make this forum happen. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ho Thanh Mỹ Phuong, for the warm welcome speech to all the participants. Ladies and gentlemen, now to continue our program, I would like to introduce to you our keynote speaker of the forum today, Dr. Ethel Agnes Pascuala Valenzuela. Dr. Ethel Agnes Pascuala Valenzuela is presently the director of the Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organization Secretariat, the first female director since SEAMEO was established in 1965. She served as the first female deputy director for program and development of SEAMEO Secretariat from July 2015 to March 2019 and led the Educational Research and Innovation Office of SEAMEO Innotech from 2006 to June 2015. Prior to joining SEAMEO, she was Director 4 of the Office of Student Services and Director 3 at the International Affairs Services in the Commission on Higher Education, the Philippines, and was responsible for foreign and local scholarship programs, academic mobility, and transnational education. She has also served as the Vice Chairperson of the UNESCO National Commission Educational Commissioner. She is a professional lecturer at University of the Philippines and De La Salle University in Manila. Ladies and gentlemen, with my great pleasure, may I invite Dr. Ethel to give her keynote speech entitled Policy and Solution to Ensure the Quality of Teaching and Learning in Basic Education during the COVID-19 pandemic and in the post-pandemic world in Southeast Asia. During Dr. Ethel's presentation, if you have any feedback or questions, please type in the chat box. Dr. Ethel, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much for your introduction. Excellencies, Dr. Phuong, our dear friend, officials from SEAMEO RETRAC, a very good afternoon to all. and thank you for inviting me to provide keynote presentation. Here I have outlined policies and solutions, hopefully, to ensure the quality of teaching and learning in basic education during the COVID-19 pandemic and transitioning into the post-COVID world in Southeast Asia. This is the assignment I got from Dr. Phuong. So let me briefly share with you what I have prepared here. So as we all know, there are so many things we have learned from the pandemic, right? And the first part of my presentation is to recap what transpired during the last 2 years. So let me begin by sharing with you the lessons learned on COVID-19 pandemic, the digital challenges that our ministries of education have faced, universities, colleges, TVET institutions, and the challenges of teachers during the pandemic. We know that based on several reports of UN and UNESCO, they have said that 1.5 billion learners were affected by the pandemic. On top of that, we say that aside from the 1.5 billion learners that were affected, we also have 24 million learners who they projected will not go back to school. That's a huge number. It's more than the population of many of our member countries. And in our survey, over 50% of our teachers and learners do not have access to online learning. So that particular challenge was also considered by the ministers. So over the last 2 years in Southeast Asia, we have seen a lot of developments. From March 2020, we have seen that all ministers of education have collaborated, partnered with different institutions in what we call as public-private partnership to develop their own learning management system. We learned that they can do it with partners. So for example, we have seen how Lao PDR was able to establish Lao Learn, or we see that Malaysia was able to develop its own learning management system called Dilemma, and partnering with all other sectors. Brunei, Darussalam also utilized partnership, providing iPads or gadgets during the pandemic, and some countries work with television channels, radio channels, to make sure that there is learning continuity. So the most important realization in this difficult time was you need partners, strategic partners, to be able to promote learning continuity. We also realized that even before the pandemic, SEAMEO centers have been training many teachers on online learning. Distance education was there like 40, 50 years ago, but it was during the time of pandemic that we realized we have to use all of this information and we need to deliver classes, whatever, wherever. That's what we say. So some countries, I recall, like they cannot really fully use online classrooms. So in that sense, we see that the ministers responded 2 ways, having online and having offline. So we see on air, online, offline, all of these, and on demand. I see also the Minister of Education of Cambodia teaching as well in radio and television channels. Same with Thailand Minister. Philippines has DepEd Commons and many more. So they jump on board and utilize all existing resources. And most importantly for teachers, the best teachers were encouraged to do their lecture live or online recorded to be shared to other teachers in many places of the different countries of Southeast Asia. So this is the first response. Make sure that learning continues anywhere, whatever, online, on air, on demand, and whatever suits. But we see also in Timor-Leste, it's difficult. Mobile data is scarce, and then we also have seen that not all teachers have their own connectivity. And information about how to teach using the technology. So they use SMS. They also use this to, coordinate with children, because more children are having cell phones than computers or iPads. So SMS-based learning was there, and also the delivery of module. Delivery of module was in Laos, it was in the Philippines, and it was also in Timor-Leste. Vietnam is advanced, but it utilized as well different channels. So you see the Vietnam Ministry of Education Training also did whatever other ministers have done. Offer the class online, on air, and use also the social media and other channels. So with that, I would like now to move on what we think are the challenges and lessons during the pandemic. So we see that even before the pandemic, there are already many children not in school, right? So we're reporting over 200 million learners all over the world are not in school, out of school children. So even before the pandemic, we see that there is a big challenge. But the pandemic heightened as well inequities and inequality in education. So the priority is bring every child to school and let every child learn. It's a good phrase, but is it happening? It's a good goal, but is it happening? So the holistic support for children during the pandemic was not just making sure education is happening. It's also making sure that they are healthy and safe. It's pandemic that, you don't force them to go to school. You need to have an infrastructure to support healthy, safe classrooms. And with that also, all the governments have tried to encourage all teachers to be vaccinated. Some countries made teachers the first to be vaccinated. I will say Cambodia. 100% right away for teachers. They are the priority, they are the frontliners. Many countries followed. So there are good models in our region that teachers are considered the first and foremost to be vaccinated. So we also see the need for, having a healthy, connected city. It's also one of the things we want, that we have smart cities which are connected. So children anywhere can actually learn, even in different shopping malls, department stores, or just practically in the park. But we have not really, completed all our work on how to have smart cities and learning cities together. It's still a goal for us. So during the time of crisis, we called everybody in the SEAMEO Congress on what we call as transforming education in Southeast Asia in the digital era. And we have asked 35,000 people joined us to reimagine, rethink education in the post-pandemic world, although it's just halfway. So in that time, we were able to visualize what we want to do, what we need to prioritize. Let me go to the digital challenges in summary. During the pandemic time, we see unequal access to ICT infrastructure. We see also ICT tools may not be there in all countries in the region. Problem of internet connectivity, especially for those in the margins, in the upland, and in the highland, and those with island provinces and cities. We see that not all teachers are competent to use the technology, even if we have already approved the teacher competency standards and the ICT competencies of teachers in Asia and the Pacific. And we see that more and more students would like to be engaged, and in the virtual classroom, it's quite difficult to be engaged. They turned off the video because of the bandwidth, or they simply are not physically present in your class and you don't know it. So let me just say that the COVID-19 pandemic is a big eye-opener, that it forces us to do more in terms of policy making, infrastructure development, capacity building for teachers. As we see, based on our study and our forum last year, World Teachers Day of last year, we say that teachers are not equipped to shift to remote learning. So the first thing to do in this school year, open up, reopen. That is the way forward because not all teachers are equipped to shift to remote learning. Second, they are not really trained on e-learning. Many of the teachers are trained on traditional classroom, especially classroom management and subject matter experts, but they are not experts in the use of ICT. They lack the skills, they lack the competencies, and they don't have the tools. Also, in our discussion during the World Teachers' Day of last year, they are grappling with unfamiliar technology. So Zoom is easy, but there are elements, there are Google, there are so many things that they need to know, Canva, and etc. So it's really a big challenge. Especially some of the students are smarter, right, in terms of preparing their presentations, etc. And teaching online is very demanding. So we say that some teachers are not comfortable on the online teaching. I see in my class, for example, that my student in PhD, the boy or the girl will come and sit in the class. So I have an early childhood attending my PhD class. So and so on and so forth. Husbands calling the wife, and the wife is sitting in the class. It's a lot of a lack of focus on studying because you have family at your background. Teachers have a new checklist of things to do. So earlier we discussed about teachers not focusing on teaching. They have a lot of administrative tasks. But the pandemic gave them more tasks. Survey here, survey there, who can access online, who cannot access online. What is the solution? Deliver assignment in their backyard. So complicated. Oftentimes, these teachers are overwhelmed with the emails and other orders, attend this training, attend this. So we say that, well, we may have learned a lot from that challenge. But what are we doing now at Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organization? It's exciting. We have fully embedded online teaching, webinars, training program, research online, everything in one platform. So together, we have provided opportunity to connect all 26 centers and SEAMEO Secretariat in our platform with universities, associate members, affiliate members contributing to our open educational resources and training programs. While one of the highlights of our pandemic work is actually reaching out to the most disadvantaged, and that is, providing education capacity building for teachers of learners with disability. We have developed an inclusive education course for teachers of learners with disabilities, but also it's open to everyone. It's an inclusive course. And now we have made this available in 8 languages, and now being accessed by over 60 countries. So when I check our algorithms, there are many accessing from the US, from the Middle East, India, Nepal. They are all enrolled in our online course. This is very great because I partnered with UNESCO and the Global Partnership for Education. So another thing that we're currently doing, which we should all know, is about where we are in terms of learning. Southeast Asia Primary Learning Metrics. This is the first regional assessment in Southeast Asia. And we measured competencies of children in reading, in writing, mathematics, and global citizenship, the first of its kind. So although this is a grade 5 level, the students, we know their competencies at this level, we can still do something in secondary. That's why we test early on at grade 5. So we use the contextual data coming from students, parents, and schools, and interpret this as the CPLM result. So in that particular sense, we have seen a lot of eye-opening findings. One, we need to strengthen professional development of teachers. And you're all here, mostly representing the professional development and training programs of your ministries of education. But we need to align competencies with what the 21st century Industry 4.0 and the workforce require. Workforce change. There are so many jobs now that are no longer necessary and they're replaced by digitalized competencies. Now, we need also to improve and reflect on the teachers' working conditions. The world has changed, but the salaries, benefits, and working conditions of teachers remained since 50 years ago. We need to invest on information and communication technologies and use data to reform the system. So what are the things to reform? So we say, number one, strengthen the professional development and competencies of teachers. What do we learn from our regional study? See, we have found out that not all teachers have training. More trainings are seen in Vietnam. Teachers really attend training. And you can see some countries who still lack such kind of training from pre-service, in-service, or a combination. That figures tells us where are we investing in terms of teacher training. More than that, if I just look at this, where are teachers being trained? They're being trained on classroom management. They're being trained on student assessment, how to assess students online or offline. They're trained on ICT, on general pedagogy. They're also trained on inclusive education, taking a look at those who cannot read with eyes problem or whatever, and differentiated instruction. These are the teachers' pedagogical training based on our assessment. And we can see also by country here in our graph that there is a linguistic diversity in the classroom. So the language of learning in some countries are not the language of tests, and it's difficult. And we also see the class sizes. Some countries have smaller class size, the others have bigger size, and as well as classroom learning levels. So it will take me some more days to discuss in detail what should we do for teachers. But another one is access to ICT in the classroom. We have also seen where our classrooms are in Southeast Asia. How many have power connection or outlets? So you will see not all, 100%. Some classrooms do not have electricity yet. They don't have television monitor. So what are we talking about on digitalization? There are not many have overhead projectors to help the teachers. They are all on lecture method. Not all have computers. An interactive whiteboard is rare. This is the picture of where our access to ICT in the classroom is. But we also need to see in our region teacher specialization and teacher allocation. Here we see that some countries, the specialization of teacher is not well aligned. How many of you have taught subjects that are not your major? Okay, let me tell about myself. Like I'm an English teacher and biology teacher, but I was given physical education, values education, and many more, but I enjoy them. So some teachers are teaching mathematics when their major is PE. Some bright teachers, they're sent to the best schools. And some teachers who are not that good, they're sent up or somewhere else. That's also a problem. And surplus of teachers, we can see that one. So how do we move forward? It's a big challenge. With the pre-pandemic, pandemic, and the post-pandemic, we still need to improve ICT competencies of teachers, whether you are through with the pandemic, now you have more choice to use online or blended learning. Second, you need to see the context of the classes. So there are those who could not read, there are those who could not write. Are there special programs for them? Remediation, for example, or special class. Education in the new normal will take a look at all the context and the needs of the learners, which learners are at the center of our intervention. And the most eye-opener for us is actually collaboration and partnership. Many countries like Indonesia, they did decentralization. Like, those in green schools, you can open already face-to-face. Those in the red with high COVID, you can do your classes online, so on and so forth. So there are many ways by which we can actually address the needs of our region. In the future, you will see us more working on our priority areas, from early childhood, revitalizing teacher education, ICT competencies, and adopting 21st century curriculum. This is the way forward for all Southeast Asian countries in order for us to build back better and move forward stronger. So let me share with you on the Transforming Education Summit, which happened just a week ago. These are what the leaders have agreed as action tracks. First is to provide inclusive, equitable, safe, and healthy schools. Second is to provide learning and skills for life. No memorization. Please focus on things that matter most. Teachers and teaching profession. We should invest on teachers and invest on digital learning, invest on innovation. It's expensive to innovate, but we should invest. And finally, because we're all coming out of the pandemic, some countries may not invest in education and provide more on something related to health and our economic problem right now. Okay? So the dollar exchange rate is getting higher and higher and lower, whatever. So financing of education, it should be maintained and it should be considered at the topmost priority. Education should be financed well in all countries. Listening to the summit of the heads of different countries, they echoed that our concern is not just on people, but on planet. That educators must also have greening education that we should teach so that we will live in the future that we want and that's sustainable. That's green education. Let every learner know that we are climate ready. And we should connect every child. It's a dream, it's a goal, but there may be digital solutions. We should address the crisis that I have presented on foundational learning. Let every child read, let every child write, let every child enjoy learning and numeracy. Don't say you don't like math, but you need math in everyday life. Let's transform education, especially for those who are in crisis, the children in crisis, the migrant children, women who are, or girls who are deprived out of education. We should advance gender equity and empowerment of women. Some countries you need this, but in some countries it's also addressed already. And we should transform financing of education and empower young people to be effective leaders. We need to invest on our young people so that they will be good. That if they do good, countries will be great in the future. So I have compiled all our transforming education in a QR code. If you want to see all transformation from early childhood, Tibet, higher education, everything, please copy the QR code. You will enjoy what needs to be transformed in Southeast Asia and what our flagship projects are. And finally, please do visit our YouTube channel. We have all the lectures, webinars, master classes that are offered for you for free. All you have to do is find time. Time is precious, so please look at our social media channels. Thank you so much and have a great discussion and presentation from member countries.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ethel Agnes Valenzuela, Director of SEAMEO Secretariat, for a wonderful keynote speech, which covers key ideas, key points of the topic of the forum today. And if you have any questions for Dr. Ethel, could you please type in a chat box and she will respond to your questions during the Q&A session after plenary session 1. Ladies and gentlemen, and now let's move to the first panel session with country reports from 4 distinguished speakers from the Ministry of Education of Brunei Darussalam, Cambodia, Lamphoune, and Malaysia. May I invite Dr. Ho Thanh Mỹ Phuong, SEAMEO RETRAC Center Director, to be the moderator for the first panel session.
Distinguished speakers, participants from many countries in Southeast Asia. Now we will start the country report in panel 1. There are 4 panelists in panel 1 from first Brunei Darussalam, Cambodia, Lamphoune, and Malaysia. 3 out of 4 speakers will present face-to-face at this podium, and the speaker from Malaysia will present their speech online. So first of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce to you our first speaker. Our first speaker is from Brunei Darussalam, Dr. Jennifer Wong. Dr. Jennifer Wong is currently heading the School of Leadership Unit at the Brunei Darussalam Leadership and Teacher Academy, Ministry of Education, Brunei Darussalam, which is responsible for the leadership professional development of school leaders. Prior to joining the Brunei Darussalam Leadership and Teacher Academy, she served as a program coordinator and facilitator for leadership and management training programs at the Institute for Leadership, Innovation and Advancement, University, Brunei Darussalam. Her background is in education, leadership, and public policy and management. She has more than 18 years of experience in the education sector and was involved in several leadership and strategic projects for various ministries over the years. In 2009, she was awarded the Special Mention Award by His Majesty Pakuda Seri Baginda Sultan Hasanan Bolkiah Wadalat for her achievement in teaching and learning, and received her Medal of Honor Bigat Idak Ikabaik in 2022 as appreciation and recognition towards her service and contribution towards the country. And today, she's going to speak about beyond and reopening schools, navigating education during the post-COVID-19 in Brunei Darussalam. So, Ms. Wong Jennifer, please, the floor is yours.
Xin chào and a very good afternoon. Greetings from Brunei Darussalam. First and foremost, I would like to thank distinguished Dr. Ethel Valenzuela, Director SEAMEO Secretariat, and distinguished Dr. Phuong, Director of SEAMEO RETRAC, for organizing this education forum. I am honored to be able to join this forum with our distinguished SEAMEO RETRAC governing board members, speakers, in sharing practices and solutions to sustain the quality of education in post-COVID-19 pandemic in Southeast Asia. Please allow me to share my presentation entitled Beyond Reopening Schools, Navigating Education During Post-COVID-19 in Brunei Darussalam. Let us start by reminding ourselves we are almost 3 years into the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2020, the World Bank Group reported that the COVID-19 pandemic led to school closures around the world, affecting almost an astonishing 1.6 billion students. And learning losses due to school closures has been identified as one of the biggest global threats to medium and long-term recovery from COVID-19. It was also reported 5 months of school closure could result in the loss of half a year of schooling adjusted for quality. And the UNESCO school closure statistics here shows how schools across different Eastern and Southeastern Asia has been affected by the pandemic, which is represented by the purple coding. Meanwhile, the red means partially open and the blue coding means fully open. It shows how even at the start of 2020, there are still schools that are partially open or even closed. So what could be the implications of all of this, ladies and gentlemen? Not being able to attend schools has 2 learning impacts besides other social and welfare consequences as reported by World Bank. 1, children may not have as much learning opportunity. 2, children forget what they had learned. So what's happening right now with our schools? Are schools still recovering? Or have our schools recovered after school reopening? These are the important questions we must ask ourselves as teachers, school leaders, system leaders, and policymakers. It goes beyond just reopening schools and teaching as usual from where teachers left off during remote learning. Now, in Brunei itself, a total of 185 days of school closure was recorded throughout the 3 waves of pandemic. During this time, remote learning solutions were implemented to ensure education continuity, and much of the current debate focuses on how much students have learned during school closure. In Brunei, it is the primary school levels that are most affected by school closure, mainly due to the reasons that the students were not vaccinated in the first quarter of 2022. Vaccination for this age group, that is 5 years old to 11 years old children, will only roll out on 3rd April 2022. So, ladies and gentlemen, to what extent have COVID-19 led to student learning losses in Brunei? Before we look into that, let me share with you an overview of what Brunei Darussalam has done to ensure and sustain quality education from the start of the pandemic. Here's the roadmap of COVID-19 in Brunei Darussalam. Throughout the waves of COVID-19 pandemic, Brunei Darussalam has used a combination of strategies and solutions to respond to ensuring continuity and access to quality education, as you can see from the slide. The welfare, safety, and well-being of students, teachers, and school community has always been our top priority. And a lot of these strategies and solutions has been shared in previous education forums organized by the SEAMEO RETRAC, especially those of first and second wave. So I will not be going through all of them, but rather just highlight a few in the next slides. Meanwhile, I would like to update in regards to some of the practices and solutions Brunei has continued on during the 3rd wave, which started February this year. 2 years into the pandemic, we face our 3rd wave with the Omicron variant. What we have stepped up is in terms of digital support and accelerated systemic support for blended learning. We continue with remote online learning with compact learning options during the school closure. So these are some of the recovery strategies that we have had in place for the early waves of the pandemic, such as using a whole nation approach, which is key component in ensuring continuity of learning remotely, which I'm going to highlight in the next slide. Schools have also modified its curriculum and assessment by adjusting the curriculum coverage and using more of formative assessment to measure students' learning, as well as welfare and mental health support for students and teachers. All of these practices and solutions, ladies and gentlemen, are aligned to our Ministry of Education vision and mission, which coherently supports the UNESCO SDG 4 to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all, as well as the SEAMEO 7 priorities, as have been shared by Dr. Ethel herself. Ladies and gentlemen, during this time, though the continuity of learning with remote learning solution continues, but the overall impact on learning remains uncertain. Here for the third wave this year in 2022, not only did Brunei continue to step up in terms of digital support and accelerated systemic support for blended learning, with the help of the whole nation approach as well as professional development for teachers and school leaders, but more importantly, we also conducted a national student learning survey to understand the extent of learning loss in the country, which in turn will help inform the learning recovery program as well as the learning support program. With the shift towards more online learning, the traffic and data volume in 2022 has tripled compared to 3 years ago and is currently 50% higher than compared with 2021. Now, school closures means that students who are more at risk of increased vulnerability are less likely to receive the support they need. Hence, as part of Brunei's effort to reduce barriers towards digitalization, we leverage on our education allies from government agencies, non-government agencies, and parents to build an ecosystem to support children's learning like never before, which we call the whole nation approach. Such approach includes donation drives in terms of cash donations, as well as provision of devices and data. The Ministry of Education, Brunei Darussalam, have also collaborated with telecommunication service providers, donating 15,000 units of laptops and more than 1,700 mobile dongles with 10 GB of mobile data per month to ensure teachers and students have sufficient data to carry out their e-learning. There are also EduPack Prihatin e-learning project for underprivileged students who have little or no access to technology and the internet for their online education. Ladies and gentlemen, the whole nation approach is one of the key components towards the successful implementation of our remote learning in Brunei Darussalam. Let me share with you a more current practice that Brunei is embarking on to ensure quality education, which is the E2RS, Education Response and Recovery Strategies. As Brunei Darussalam entered its endemic phase on June 1st, 2022, teaching and learning in the classroom is getting back to its new normal. It is crucial to remember not to go about business as usual and merely picking up where we left off during the remote learning now that students are fully back to school physically. It is beyond just reopening schools and doing business as usual, ladies and gentlemen, which is rushing to finish off the curriculum or prepping students for standardized assessment or national assessment towards the end of the year. I don't know how many of you could relate to this pressure, but it's more about getting it right and doing it better. It is important not to rush or over-assess, but to understand the status of student learning or what many others call learning loss or learning gaps. So how can schools in Brunei, like many other countries, confront the learning loss issues constructively? What approaches are we using to address potential learning disruption and instructional gaps from the 185 days of school closure? So one of the Ministry of Education effort this year is to set up the E2RS on top of the other planned strategic initiatives. The E2RS has 5 focus areas as shown in the diagram on the slide. It is an initiative to have a more structured and a strong system in place to monitor our recovery practices for early student warning signs, paired with strong norms and routines to help students to engage academically and recover emotionally. So for this presentation, I will share the first 2 focus areas. Let us start by reviewing the student learning survey. So what is the student learning survey, or we call it the SLS? It is basically an assessment tool to measure learning loss impacted by COVID-19. It also acts as a support tool to collect data for research in the measurement of learning loss in Brunei, using all relevant data to conduct various statistical analysis. And it also acts as a support tool for teachers to gauge and track students' learning. The who and the how. It is conducted for every academic year level from year 1 to year 11 for English language, mathematics, and science. It's a computer-based quiz format with a 25 minutes duration, which assesses the students' knowledge and competencies. A national student learning survey was conducted starting April this year for the various academic level. So how does SLS measure learning loss? Student responses were collected in real time for the online platform. Data analysis was conducted using relevant data to make reliable and valid comparisons using statistical algorithms. From the data analysis on the national level, we found that we do not see much learning loss. But on the micro level, that is zooming in at schools, the data that shows us that certain schools do have learning loss. For primary level, on average, we found that year 4, 5, and 6 in particular have higher learning loss in comparison to the other primary levels, as the SLS tested them on knowledge and skills from the previous academic level. Most likely, they have forgotten what they have learned from the previous year levels, similar to what World Bank reported as learning impacts due to school closure. Surprisingly, children from year 1 and 2 is not significantly affected by learning loss in this preliminary data. In mind, data on learning loss is still very new for Brunei Darussalam, and we are still collecting data as we go along to better understand the learning loss and learning opportunities. With the data findings from SLS and more relevant education data as part of the E2RS, the second focus area is the Learning Recovery Task Force was set up to help mitigate student learning loss during the pandemic, and another task force for learning support program was set up last year to work with school leaders and teachers to acquire the expected levels of literacy and numeracy. Both task forces are comprised of practitioners of school leaders. The Learning Recovery Program is aimed to address learning loss and gaps due to physical school closure during the COVID-19 pandemic. The objective is for schools to develop learning recovery strategies in partnership with relevant stakeholders for short, medium, and long term. The Learning Recovery Task Force and cluster heads, cluster heads, which is very similar to superintendent in some of your countries. So together, the task force and the cluster heads will work collaboratively with schools in developing the school learning recovery plan for schools who need support. And the task force will also work with schools to use their data to make informed instructional decisions with the help of monitoring and evaluation tools. The expected outcome of E2RS is to improve learning outcomes by reducing learning gaps and loss, to be able to use data effectively and have effectively learning recovery program in place in schools. Ladies and gentlemen, as the saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child. Similar to education, it takes a broad coalition of actors to move education. So as part of Brunei Darussalam continuity on the whole nation approach shared earlier, another window of opportunity the Ministry of Education Brunei Darussalam leveraged on is to sustain quality education is by engaging a broad coalition of stakeholders to support and contribute towards a shared nation, commitment and alignment of action across constituencies to transform education. This year, it just so happened timely that the United Nations Secretary General announced in his report to the United General Assembly on our common agenda his intention to convene a Transforming Education Summit again that was mentioned by Dr. Ethel in September 22. So what Brunei did was we leveraged on this opportunity to conduct a national consultation on 6 August 2022 to mobilize a broad coalition of actors from where 90 stakeholders from relevant government agencies, private agencies, NGOs, youth, students, and members of national associations attended a national consultation workshop to get inputs from these actors to help develop national statement of Brunei's commitment on transforming education, grow a national movement for education transformation, as well as get inputs and insight on policy, planning, and budgetary changes in the hope of developing a shared vision. In the continuous effort to support teachers and school leaders through all these learning recovery strategies and sustain digitalization in classrooms and schools, the Brunei Darussalam Leadership and Teacher Academy, BDLTA, continues to gear its professional development to teachers and school leaders that focus on agile instructional leadership and pedagogy, digital leadership and learning, as well as effective use of data on top of its other training that is to improve their professional practice, which is aligned to the Brunei Teacher Standard and the Brunei Darussalam School Leadership Standard and Competency Framework. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, the way forward for ensuring and sustaining quality education for Brunei Darussalam is still in the three focus area, which is the same direction as presented in the Education Forum last year. To build an education system that is more resilient, adaptable to student needs, strengthening the accessibility, equity, capacity building with a strong emphasis on global competencies or the 21st century skills, and the role of technology in teachers and school leaders training and education delivery. One of the ministry efforts moving forward in supporting all of these shifts is to establish a national education network across all schools, accessibility to internet connectivity. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I end my presentation and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jennifer Wong, for a very informative and interesting sharing and presentation with quite a lot of strategies to recover from the learning loss, as well as a different way to measure the loss and the way forward to sustain the quality of education in Brunei Darussalam. Next, I would like to introduce to you speakers from Cambodia. From Cambodia, we have the presentation of our governing board member, Dr. Samsideth D, and also Ms. Heng Rathpidor, his student. Please allow me to present to you the bio of Dr. Samsideth D first. Dr. Samsideth D is currently Secretary General of the National Committee for Lifelong Learning and Deputy Director General for Education, Ministry of Education, Youth and Sport, Cambodia. He graduated his master's degree in Comparative and International Education and his Doctor of Philosophy in Education and Human Sciences from Hiroshima University in March 2002 and March 2005, respectively. Dr. D worked as an education officer and educational specialist for UNESCO and ADB prior to his return to the Royal University of Phnom Penh as director of the Master of Education program and founding dean of the Faculty of Education in 2013 and 15. He remains as an adjunct professor of the Faculty of Education since 2006. He published several papers in international review journals, academic bulletins, and chapters of edited books in the area of educational policy and development in Cambodia. During 2012-2014, he provided consultancy services to a number of organizations such as OECD, SDC, ADB, UNESCO, World Bank, etc., and various education NGOs in Cambodia and Myanmar. And together with him for the presentation today is Ms. Heng Rathpidor. She is a recent Master of Education graduate from the Royal University of Phnom Penh, Cambodia, and she did her research on school leadership. She used to be a secondary school teacher of English subject for over 10 years. Her current interest in research and development in education sector as an education business entrepreneur. So now I'd like to invite Dr. Samsideth, and also your student to make the presentation to our audience.
For a very good introduction. It's a little bit long. The reason that I would like to co-chair, not co-chair, co-present this paper, because I would like you to have a fresh study findings based on the case of Cambodian high school dealing with the issue before COVID, during COVID, and post-COVID. So this is just a case of study that my graduate student, she did her study under my supervision. As mentioned earlier, I still have one foot in academic, still a mentor and supervisor to various research team. This is just a bit about this school, so that you can know about this background when you will hear more on the leadership and management. The Chenda High School is located near to the Thai border, and it's quite far, over 100 kilometers from the downtown city. And it was a post-conflict area, former battlefield during the 1980s, 1990s. When ADB project started to construct school in 2003, and there was tiger coming to disturb the construction workers, so it was very isolated. Amazingly, when the Cambodian government tried to select what we call the good school director, and that school director got appointed and selected to be one of the top school director in the country by surprise. And then we started to ask the question, why? Why this guy became an outstanding national recognized good effective school director. And the school is only from grade 7 to 12. This is high school, and around 1,200 students and 24 classes and around 36, 37 teachers. And the management, the school director taking two roles, not only management, but also leadership. I use the word management and leadership because he keeps saying that he works 24 hours. In his dream, he also thinks about school. He almost forget his family. His wife doesn't like him anymore because he spends so much time on school. He really cares about the school, about the student, especially during the COVID. The school was used as vaccination center. The school was used as a treatment and quarantine center. So during 2020, 2021, so it was used like that. It's so messy, and the school was closed and open, but he's still able to manage. So the concept that we embrace here, Cambodia, we use the word good school, orally translated, and in fact it should be effective school. The minister talked about the school-based management. He wanted to give more autonomy, more authority to the school management committee. When we talk about school management committee, we refer to the school director and deputy school director. So 4 or 5 people as a team. And we look into, when we give the status as a good school, we look into the learning achievement, the pass rate, grade 12 pass rate. If they have about the national average, national average is 65%. So if you move to 68, 75, some schools move to 90% pass rate. So they consider to be, when the school is doing well, the student pass rate is high, the performance of the school management must be great. The teachers must be doing well. So this is the assumption. And we also look into whether the survival rate is high. 100 come in and very few will drop out. No repetition rate and transition rate from grade 7 to grade 8 to grade 9 and moving up quite well, and very almost no dropout. So if we can ensure that, we consider that school is doing well. And especially when we look into the teachers' capacity as well as the management team, if they are having bachelor degree, they're having master degree, and they still keep their professional development well, and they work as a team. With the team spirit, we use still a community term, solidarity. So if they have a strong solidarity among the team, and they work as a team for the sake of the school effectiveness of service delivery, they consider to be an outstanding and good school, and then they can join the competition. I pass over to my mentee, and she will present further. She's the one who fresh on the ground. Her whole family spending time there to observe the school and to learn. So over to you, Pida.
First of all, I would like to thank you, Dr. Samsideth, for giving me this opportunity to share my study research to everyone. And I want to express my appreciation to him as my supervisor. He's a very good and responsible one. Even he is very busy, he spends a lot of time to support and guide us. And especially me, I have achieved this research because of him. And as you can see that both developed and developing country, the government spends a lot of money. You can say budget. They keep increasing budget to build more classroom, or we can say school building, more teacher, provide more teacher, and also more textbook. See that it can improve school, but actually it's not really the case. It's not enough. So if we can look deeper, this is what I'm doing research for. What make the school become better? How do they do it? And because actually, if we see the budget that the Cambodian government keep increasing every year to improve education in Cambodia, but if we compare to the result that we got from the PISA assessment, we still found out that Cambodia is still lower than OECD and Asian average. So keep increasing this building, teachers, and textbook is not really the case only. And yet, we can say not all the schools perform like this. Some schools still perform better and become a role model school, like Pechenda High School. This is the case that I used to study. And this school got 5 rewards for a role model school. Close one purpose of. Actually, for my research, I have 2 purposes. I am to research 2 cases. The first, I am to research about what makes school perform better and become a role model school. And the second, I research about the impact of secondary education improvement project to improve the school. How to improve the school. So, but it's lost in the slides. And for this research, I use qualitative research method with the case study approach as Pechenda High School. Yes. Okay. Actually, I went there 2 times. Each time I spent 2 whole days at school to do observe and to interview principal, vice principals, even chair as SMC, teachers, students, as well as parents. And I interviewed 25 participants. And I also collected this data not only by interview, but I used 2 models to collect it by the survey of 424 students, and also the assessment file related to the level of autonomy and accountability at their school. And actually, as I said, I went there to do face-to-face interview and also follow up by the phone call and telegram when I need more information. And I use content analysis. For the finding I got is that to make the school improve, perform better and become a role model school, first of all, it's because of strong parent and community support. Yeah. As you can see, only 4 months, they can collect $3,000 and even 50,000 real to improve the school. We reinvented after the COVID-19. Yes, and the support of the parent and community is not just only the budget, the money, the help with the labor, even students bring the plane, bring the grass, and as well some they help the poor student at their school by providing food, providing their study facilities, as well as for the students who live far from the school, they provide Wi-Fi for them so they don't drop out. And as you can see that when I went there, especially when I went to interview the parent at the market, you know, I intend to interview only a few of them because of limited time. But many more come around me to talk about their school. They like their school a lot. They support it, and they say that some private school cannot compare to their school. They even promote their own school. They say that their school is like a paradise. They always go to do exercise in the evening in the school. Yeah. And also non-government organizations also help this school a lot, especially Child Dream organization. They even help with the computers, the dormitory. There are 3 student dormitory. Also, they help with the leadership skill case, and as you can see, there's a lot that they have. And the reason that this contribution exists because when the parents see the change of their children, yeah, they act better. They perform better in their class, in their study. Also, they change their attitude, become a good one. So they have to support the school back. The second one is related to the effective leadership of the school principal. As you can see, the school principal received award as the Samsideth mentioned, and also he acted as a role model. He worked very hard, and the teacher said that, oh, when I see my principal work under the rain, how can I stand and walk and watch? Yeah, and the students said that my principal even pick up the rubbish on the ground. He works very hard, so I have to do the same. And also, he share responsibility with his management team, as well as even they let the parent to involve in their planning and giving ideas, even solution to solve problem in the school. And this is the answer that we got from the student, how they like that principle. And last one is related to friendly environment school. Friendly environment school here, it's not about only the environment, the green or clean, but also related to the health, to the safety, to the security of the student there. This is the result that we got from the student. And yeah, the answer we got from the student. What do you like about your teachers a lot? So answer for this. And for my research question too, related to impact of school principal mindset, related to impact of SEED projects, it means that when SEED projects present in the school, they provide program related to leadership upgrading program to the principal. Actually, they help a lot of authority, but they don't know. They don't care kick out. So this program helps them to get to know more about their role, their responsibility, and how they gonna do their work. For the teacher, we have also a teacher upgrading program. The teacher, after when they change the way of their teaching. First of all, they start adapting technology in their teaching. And after that, they change the way how they treat students from putting pressure and punish them to encourage them. They try to understand the student why they always come late, why they always absent. They try to understand the well-being of the student and encourage and motivate them rather than punish them. Here can see the level of the autonomy and accountabilities of the school principal in their school. For number 4 is the highest level, yeah, and you can see that around more than 90%. The school principal have enough autonomy and accountability in their school. Only related to the teacher appointed and deployment. This is still limited. We got only 2, yeah, and for 3 it related to finance and budget, and the rest is full. And for conclusion, is as extends say, provide school building textbook or even more teacher. It's not enough to improve a school, but you need to focus on the capacity of the manage, the team and the resource. How? It means that you have to focus on the school leader, the effectiveness of school leaders. I have found out 3 significant factors that contribute to improvement of the Chenda High School. As you can see, related to the first one, strong support for parent and community. The second one is effective school leadership, and the third one is related to school friendly environment, or we can say friendly environment school. And I found some uniqueness of the school as well, related to the leadership trait of the principal. Yeah, he's very determined, brave, self-confident, easygoing, and very helpful. And I can see that in that area, as you can see, before 80% of the people there are previous marriage, but they can combine the new and the united, the new and the old people there, yeah, to work together to improve their school, their community. It's very interesting for this case. And also, not only the school themselves, that also the district level help with the school. Even the discipline, district will have involved when the student or parent of the student complain. Why you punish my, you cut the student hair, my son or my daughter's hair, something like this, and they go to complain to the district, but they already prepare and they work together already. So they help each other. This is also the way they make the school very effectively in managing. And the last one is, as we can see, as SMC normally have only 5 members, but the school has 37 members. He said that the school principal said that I don't care how many of them, at least as long as they love and value the education and want to improve school, they can come and join us to improve together. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samsideth and Ms. Heng, for your presentation. The case study of an effective school in Cambodia brought us a lot of findings that all of us can learn from in order to sustain the quality of education, especially to make our schools effective ones, like the one in the case study. Again, thank you very much. Next, I would like to introduce to all of you our speakers from Lamphoune. Please allow me to read his information. Dr. Lamphoune Luangxay is the next speaker, and he is the Deputy Director General of the IFED, which is the Institute for Educational Administration and Development under the Ministry of Education and Sports, Lamphoune. He has been appointed in this position since late 2019. Before he working for IFED, he worked at the Department of Non-Formal Education, Ministry of Education and Sports for more than 20 years. His expertise is adult learning and adult literacy. He involved in drafting national policies on non-formal education and the recent achievement in involving in the Prime Minister's decree on lifelong learning, which was officially approved in 2018. He earned his master's degree in International Development Studies from Graduate School of International Development, Nagoya University in 2006, and was granted Doctor of Philosophy from the School of Education, University of Queensland, Australia in 2017. For international communities, Dr. Lamphoune is a member of ISM Lifelong Learning Hub and PIMA. And today, he's going to present to us the response plan to sustain educational quality in the post-COVID-19 pandemic in Lamphoune. Let's welcome Dr. Luangxay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Phuong, for your for the introduction. Feel a little bit nervous now because actually this is my new field of education and management, because my expertise is about the adult learning, adult education, or adult literacy. Anyway, I was moved to the new field of education management like 2 years ago, and have learned quite a lot. So today I'm going to share with you the situation that's happening in Laos during the COVID pandemic. So first, I'll try to share with you about the situation and also the practice of the response in the education sector when during the COVID-19, and then we'll go to the impact of the COVID on education, and then we will talk about. I'm going to talk about a little bit about the national response plan for the improvement of the quality of education, including the response to COVID, or kind of recover of the impact of the COVID on education sector. So first of all, I'd like you to see the numbers of the cases that confirm and also the death in the red color. Although this is maybe a small number for us if compared to other countries, but remember that we have a small population in our country. It's nowadays it's estimated about 7 million people in the whole country. So compare with the 665 people dead caused by COVID-19, it's quite a lot of number as well, actually. So, and this is as of the August 2022. This impact on the economy at the macro and micro level. Macro level, it's at the government. micro level, it's a family, community. That's impact on the education. At the national level, the government have to reduce the budget on the education sector. And also at the micro level or family or community level, it's kind of relieve the capacity to contribute to and support the learning for the students. And when during the COVID-19 pandemic, most of the education institutions, I mean, including the offices like a ministry, departments, as well as schools, because COVID is a new thing for us, right? So we don't know what to do, and what we can do. What the government did is to close. And for the offices, we also kind of take turn to go to the office in order to prevent the crowded. Like one office may go like a 2 or 3 person only. Like take turn for that. So some of the school also use as a quarantine centers for some of the treatment. That it's kind of make parents and the community do not or don't feel confident about the trust if they send their student to school. So after finish the COVID-19 release, the relief, then most of that school that used to be quarantine centers have to be vaccinated, have to be sprayed to kill the disease. That is to make trust for the parents, students, and the community that make sure that students back to school safely. So if we compare the school closer to other ASEAN countries, you may have seen the Laos also partially open and fully open or partially open or closed during the COVID-19. Mostly, particularly during the end of until the 2022, most of the school only partially open. This impact on the situation that happening on the ground, because as you may see, majority of our people still living in the poverty. That means parents also need their children to go back to work in the farm to help them to survive. For those families who are living in urban area, although they do not farming, but they have to help each other to earn, because parents, can't go to the company, can't earn as usual, so they have to ask the children to help them. It means the tendencies, as a result, the children from those kind of family tend to drop out. They do not go back to school after the COVID relief. Actually, when the situation of the education in general, recent years, in terms of enrollment rate as well as the quality of education, is still one or two of the main concerns, because not only just enrollment rate is low, but also high dropout rate as well. This is in general, happened even before COVID-19 as well. So the plan to improve the situation is not only just focus on the recover the impact of the COVID-19, but in general, the government tried to increase the enrollment rate and reduce the dropout rate and improve the quality of education, particularly in the general education, start from primary and secondary education. In order to do this, the government, in collaboration and as well as support from the development partner like EU, UNICEF, try to provide opportunity or as well as materials to improve the quality of education. including in-service training for the teachers and school principal, as well as catch up the student after the COVID-19 relief. So this is the situation where the happening in the from pre-primary education until the up to the upper secondary education. Generally, the dropout rate is increased, and also the TVET sector as well as the university, which during the COVID pandemic, majority of the new graduates from the secondary education cannot go to the entrance exam at the Vientiane or at the center. So, but the alternative way that the university did was to open exam online. Unfortunately, as you may know, that infrastructure and internet, and as well as the student not familiar with using online platform. So a lot of problems occur during this, and that's impact on the number of enrollment in university kind of under the quotations. Like the national university achieved only 60% compared to the quotation that the government gave to the university, and the rest is also very limited. So this is according to the research or the paper from World Bank, that we did have impact on the education, not only just the dropout, but also in terms of the quality of education. The same in Laos, that they expect that up to 8% of students between age 6 to 18 are expected to drop out of school because of the pandemic. So when the longer the school closed, the student go into the work, into the market level, and then they tend to not come back. Some even they do not come back to school. So the situation now is the government assigned to the Department of General Education as well as the community, local authority at all levels to mobilize students back to school, to make trust for the parents to send them to send their children to school, because this is kind of compared with the target or the goal of the education, then the enrollment rate and the quality, the dropout rates, all are concerned by the government. As for the quality of education, as in 2017, learning assessments show that only 1 in 3 person of grade 3 students have attained standard competency for entry into grade 4. This is a very serious problem as in education in Laos. Even in 2019 to 2019 assessment at grade 9 also found that similar situation that happened with the primary education as well, which only 90% of the students perform at a basic level or even below standard for Lao language subject, and only 49% attain basic level of science, and 90% acquire below basic level of mathematics. This is for the upper secondary education. This is for the secondary education, including lower and upper secondary. So this is when we have COVID-19, the situation we hope, we expect that even get worse. So this will become our task or our mandate to think about how we can improve or contribute to improve the quality of education of this. So as I mentioned earlier, that the plan for response to this, first, in order to to prevent. It means try to make school and students be safe. One of the strategy is that the government of Laos, Ministry of Education and Ministry of Public Health, in collaboration, that every student have to get vaccination from the primary school to uni, and also try to prepare alternative learning system. If any case that school have to be closed, then we have to have other alternative system for the student to access to learning. That is the government, the Ministry of Education also developed the online platform for the student and teacher to access to online learning. And also make sure that the collaboration with the development partner are strengthened in order to have a kind of quick response in case of the COVID pandemic come back again. And this is what I also mentioned earlier, that more specific, the MOE aside to the specific department to take into action from direction, from policy into action. For example, the Ministry of Education aside the responsibility to general education to ensure or to increase the enrollment rate and mobilize society to and as well as students to come back to school. And also the Ministry of Education's developed online platform like Khang Panya Lao, what we call is Khang Panya Lao, in support by UNICEF, to make learning platform online for all teachers and students to access, as well as to try to the project that's supported by ADB also try to provide some new techniques of the instruction for teachers, what we call is instructional leadership, as well as school principal to support the teacher who practice instructional leadership at school to make sure that learning and teachings are effective. I do agree with the researcher from Cambodia that the providing the materials is not ensure that the quality of education will be improved. Then we also found out that no matter how long experience the teachers have, if the teaching method is not effective, then students will not acquire the quality of education. So that is one of the strategy for we are doing now. And the other thing is together we get support from the World Bank. We also implement the like school-based management, which is now it's in the process of the developing the framework, and we're going to provide training for the school principal and as well as education administrator at all levels, from the national to the school principal. Okay, that's all that I want to share with you, and I hope this will be a useful information and situation for SEAMEO RETRAC, as well as for us to think. If you have any experience, you have better way to respond to COVID, then please share us, because this is also new to us. And as I mentioned earlier, we don't know what to do. The government don't know what to do because it's very rapid, and it happens suddenly. So all we could do is to close school to stay at home first. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Luangxay, for your presentation, which is a very informative. I highly appreciate your sharing of the negative impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on Laopedia, especially on the quality of education in Laopedia. And also, your sharing on the responsive plan in order to sustain the quality education in Laopedia is also very interesting and useful for all of us. Again, thank you very much for your sharing. Last but not least, for panel 1 is the presentation from our governing board member from Malaysia. With this, I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Razak Manaf from Malaysia. He is the Senior Deputy Director of Institute Amin Nudin Baki, Ministry of Education, Malaysia. He holds his PhD and Master in Leadership and Management, and he also holds the Master Trainer, Master Coach, and Assessor certificates from IAB. He is responsible for the management training and development programs for educational leaders in Malaysia at all levels. He is also responsive for management and professional development of the staff in the area of training, coaching, and mentoring. And also, he has been with the Institute for more than 20 years and has contributed to the development of several training modules, programs related to educational leadership and management. He co-developed the first standards for school leadership in Malaysia in 2008 and the competency model of Malaysian school leaders in 2010, which won the Color-Late SEAMEO Jasper Award in 2010. And today, at this forum, Dr. Razak Manaf is going to present to us agility in leadership training throughout the pandemic area. Dr. Manaf will present online. So it's time for you, Dr. Manaf, please. You have 15 minutes for your presentation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hotan, Director of SEAMEO RETRAC, distinguished board members, and all the participants in this forum or seminar. Firstly, I would like to say thank you for SEAMEO RETRAC for giving me the opportunity to share practices and solutions to sustain the quality of education in the post-COVID pandemic. For your information, I'm attached to Institute Amin Baki, which is responsible for the training of school leaders throughout Malaysia. And today I will touch on this aspect of leadership training, which is very crucial and critical to the success of any schools, as mentioned by our friend from Cambodia. And as you all know, the COVID-19 pandemic has changed the landscape of education and changed everything, economic, social, and in training as well. And because of that, I would like to take this opportunity to share our experience in relook and we reevaluate and on how we deliver training to our school leaders. For your information, in our country, before 2014, for those who want to become school leaders, they can be elected from a classroom teacher. But from 2014 onward, there is a mandatory course that we call the National Professional Qualification for Educational Leaders. And they must have this course, they must pass this training, and after that, they can be elected as school leaders. And this course is based on competency. That's why we create and we develop the competency model for the school leaders. And then for us, we fight from 1999. The first batch of MPQEL was in 1999, and then we fight. And after 15 years, we successful get the approval from the Ministry of Education to to make this MPQL as the mandatory course for anybody who want to become principal. The problem with when the COVID is coming, every year on average we have to replace about 400 school leaders, which means about 400 will be retired, resign, and so on. So we have to train at least 400. But according to our Ministry of Education, Human Resource Policy, we have to have at least 2 candidates for any 1 vacancy of school leaders, which means we have to train about 800 teachers every year. So in the process, we usually divide the intake into 2, for 400 participants in each intake. So and because of that, because of the COVID, as you all know, the landscape of training has changed. We have a standard operating procedure which limits the usual training with physical distancing and with have to wear face masks and so on. So we have to think how we can handle this training. And as usual, and as we mentioned with the student, we opt to using online training. That is the easy way out to carry the training. So the same thing happened to us in Malaysia. Let me share the screen first. So I skip this one. And then what happened just before the pandemic? If you see this screen, I put a table there. The 2018 is before the pandemic. 2021 is during the pandemic, and 2020 after the pandemic. And if you can see there, we have to make changes to the structure, duration, the delivery mode, and the assessment of the training. And as mentioned by Harris and Jones in 2021 in their books, during the pandemic, the basic function of school leaders are the same. They have to create the vision for the school, they have to manage resources, they have to control the quality and so on. And the only difference is the way they do the task due to the changes of the context, which means the content or the curriculum of the training does not change much, except we change the name from generic competencies to leadership competencies, functional competencies to professional competencies, which cater for the tasks that they need to perform as school leaders. The leadership competencies is related to oneself leadership characteristic. The professional practice is related to the task they have to do at their school. And then because of this, we only change or we add a new content that is related to the technology for the school leaders, and we include the several new topics such as good governance, which is outlined by the United Nations. There is integrity, fairness, equity, and accountability, which we stress to the school leaders. They have to look into this. They have to work in with integrity. They have to manage resources wisely, reduce wastage, and so on. And they have to have very high educational values. And we stress also on the access, because of the learning loss that happened during the pandemic. They have to cater the access, the equity, and how to make students come to school and how to manage the learning after the pandemic. So the other content that we include is the human governance part that is related to leadership and how we manage human when we are the leaders of the group. So we also include the idea of positive leadership, how to handle stress, how to take care of the staff, how to take care of the student, their safety, their health, plus connecting with parents so that they have the negotiation skill, the social skill, the soft skill to manage the parents during the pandemic and after the pandemic. So in a way, we expand the curriculum to cover more compared to the previous in 2021. And that makes the duration become longer. From 25 weeks, we extend it to 36 weeks. So in a way, we try to build, to develop the leaders after the pandemic that is more holistic and able to take care of their student, take care of the parents, take care of the teachers as well. And they have to really know their business as a school leaders. So basically, that is the changes that happen to our curriculum. And delivery mode, as we mentioned before, is all about online learning. We have online tutorial, online module, and we have online coaching. And as I presented during the last forum, I present the cosmic, the way we coach the school leaders use online. And then we have as well as that, we have a module that can learn during their survey. They can learn on their own. And what is we observe after the pandemic, the post-pandemic era time, the tendency to move back to old norm is very pertinent. Is very something very real. They sort of want to turn back the clock as before. That is the challenge for us, how to maintain the interest of the teachers and school leaders in doing the training online. Because when the government announced we are in the era of post-pandemic, they start to ask for face-to-face training. So that's another challenge we have to face. And then the assessment also the same. We have intensively using the online evaluation on presentation, and we have also third-party validation using scope experience scope principle, super principle to validate the trainer performance. And another things that make us change the curriculum and the way we evaluate the school leaders is due to the complaint we receive from the public on the quality of school principal. So we have to aware, we have to respond to that, and that's why we add the content as well as the how we assess them, and to make sure the product of this program will produce a very high quality school leaders. So in all, there is not much change that we do to our training, except the post-pandemic is more focused on the human leadership, how we handle human, how we handle the teachers, the parents, the students, and take care of their safety, well-being, and the overall health and well-being. And from we experienced during the pandemic, the lesson that we learned as a training center, we have to be prepared all the time to face unpredictable situation. And actually, it's a wake-up call for us when the COVID-19 pandemic happened. We are in a way very unprepared, and we think that the pandemic only come for a short while, then we can come back to the normal as before. And then the second one is the training of our own staff using online platform. We have more than 400 trainers in our in headquarters and in other 4 branches, and most of us are baby boomers, which is not really well versed with computers, and we have to teach them how to use Zoom, how to use Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, and how to present, how to train using this platform. And then another thing, we have to prepare online module immediately after the pandemic and before the pandemic. We have to transform from the face-to-face module to online module, and it's very challenging task because we have to prepare it fast to be used in the training room. And then the challenges of training adult, because it's not easy to manage adult using online learning. As we mentioned by several presenters, they can just switch off the video, they switch off the microphone, and then we assume they were there, but they are not there. So how we retain the engagement and as well as the quality of the training. And even with this issue or problem, we still have to use the online modality, because there is the simplest way out, the cheapest way, and then it can cover so many people. And then we have to look again on several questions in delivering training. For example, our institutions still have issue with related to this question. For example, how to make online training as good, if not better than face-to-face training. There is the question I posed to everybody: how to make online training is as good, if not better, than face-to-face training. Because when we survey the internet, several universities conducting the course online, and the fees they charge is the same as face-to-face. For example, the training on organizational development program in US, they charge $4,500 USD face-to-face, but online also $4,500 USD. So it comes to my mind, how can we assure the online and the face-to-face is of the same quality? So that one big question mark that we have to think in our institution. And secondly, how to make adult learner comfortable with the new way of training, using Google Meet, using Zoom, using quizzes, Jam-pack, and so on. And thirdly is how to retain focus and engagement during training. And lastly, how to prevent participants and trainer to go going back to the old way of training, because we already experience using online learning, and then when the pandemic is almost over, we start to turn back to the old way of training. So it's a waste. So that's 4 questions that our institution is still struggling to find answers. And we hope our friends in this forum can give us some suggestion or ideas so that we can settle these issues for the way forward of our institution. But as I mentioned before, as a conclusion, the occurrence of COVID-19 pandemic really accelerate the use of technology in training. And we are very grateful. And in fact, I can present this presentation using technology to Vietnam. I'm sorry I cannot make it this time because of certain procedure, last minute procedure that prevent me to go to Vietnam. But I wish I could be there because this is my last year as board members, and June next year I'll be retired from the service, from the government service. So with that, I say thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Manaf, for sharing with us quite a lot of information related to the impacts on the training, leadership training in Malaysia, your good practices, what you have done in order to overcome the difficulties, especially the lessons that you learned on how to maintain and improve your leadership training in Malaysia, especially at your institute. So again, thank you very much for your sharing. Ladies and gentlemen, you have listened to presentation and sharing, first from Brunei, Darussalam, and then we travel to Cambodia, and then after that, we go to Lamphoune, and finally we stop at Malaysia, right? Now we have some time for Q&A and for some last minute sharing. So to do this part, I would like to invite our speaker to go on the stage, and you have your chair here. All the participants in the region will see your face. They already sent questions that I'm going to read the questions to you, and also we will have some interaction on the stage for our participants from all over the region. Now, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, so far we have listened to learning lots from Brunei, Darussalam, different strategies to overcome the learning loss from that country. We also have opportunity to listen to the presentation on a successful school, Cambodia, with which can become effective school in the leadership and management of that school. And from Lamphoune, we also know a lot of information related to the impacts of COVID-19 pandemic on Lamphoune education, and especially some responsive plans to sustain the quality of education. And finally, from Malaysia, we learn on how institute as well as Malaysia improve and face to the COVID-19 pandemic in order to improve the leadership training in the country. So lots of information have been expressed so far. And first, I would like to ask from our forum, do you have any questions that you want to address to any speakers on the stage for now? Do we need the microphone? Receiving from our participants online, there is a question for Cambodia. So the question is, do you think that the role model school can be extended or practiced in other provinces in Cambodia? If yes, what do people need to prepare in order to apply this model?
Thank you very much for the question. Definitely, they are the model school, meaning that we have to stay up. The loophole in our presentation is that we seem to force the school director to work very, as I mentioned, it almost forgot this country, work as a leader and as a manager, ensuring the school is safe, teachers, or students. What if, as said already, when we prepare a school to be a center of excellence, when I say center of excellence, we refer to highly competent teachers, a highly effective school management team, resources, as well as community participation. So looking into that, I think every school would like to have an effective school. But it's not easy. Like in our presentation, community participation is very important. If when the community owns the school, the key message is that when community owns the school, take part in school development and wanting to see the school grow, the community pressure the school management, and the community also participate. I think the case of that school, of Chenda High School, is a post-conflict, like when Japan was built after the Second World War, when this school was built after the battlefield. So people have a kind of united thing, because it was over battlefield, it was isolated, close to the Thai border, those former Khmer Rouge soldiers. And those people, they have a very strong bond of working together, living together, take risks, share benefit, and things. So participation of very, especially and there is no scientists there, so we only first community. Number two, we need to attract competent, motivated teachers and people who stay longer because and by then you lose those people, you lose some teachers, and then the school will actually look like only in order to work to keep those school continue the school. I think we discussed this model a little bit, saying that how can we motivate teachers, how can we pay them, and this school director get the same payment. The other school director that did not do well. So Cambodia has an issue, even you work very hard, you manage 30, 40 teachers, and then another school director manage only 4 teachers, they have the same payment, the same salary. So I think this is something that Cambodia has, like school management, small school management, medium-sized school management. Things are going for Cambodia, but I think we are.
Very much mention asking the speaker from now. Yeah. The question is giving strong impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on teaching and learning. There's the Ministry of Education and Sport of Laos and many strategic plans for sustainable development of teaching and learning.
Most important thing for our lives things that together. One is increase both of it. Also improve the quality of teaching. We tend to believe that qualification of teachers is very important for the develop education. But recently we have found that, I mean, this is from our this is say that my personal analysis from this. So the team of teachers, which is traditional belief that depends on the degree that he or she applied from the university, and also the number of in-service training. Found that I feel that the method of teaching is more important than that. If you compare like today, you compare like the children using mobile phone and the graduate or PhD student may not be skillful like children doing the game on the mobile phone. It means the level of education doesn't mean cannot adjust to the level of how he or she can do a particular job. That means even though the teacher are not trained well or do not graduated from get a higher degree of education, if he or she keeping practice and receive correct or closely supervised by and also the sharing experience, then I think and I believe that the education, the quality of teaching is also good. In the opposite way, although he or she got PhD teaching, but he never share his experience or learn from others, then this can be a poor teaching as well. So I think by keeping improved methodology of teaching as well as, of course, I am not saying that, not denying about the responsibility of teachers and also the support from the community like the Cambodian. They said that also very important for that. But the key person, the key player actor in the school, I think it's two people. One is teacher, second is school principal. Who always, if the school principal keep got eye on the teachers, observe teacher and help teacher facilitate, supervise, motivate teachers in order to make teachers more responsible for their daily job and care for students, care for the quality of education. I'm sure that the quality of education in that school will be improved sooner or later.
Thank you very much, Dr. Luangxay. One last question for you. What could be a one sentence message, key message that we want to deliver to our audience from Southeast Asia who are watching us now about the effort to sustain quality education, maybe at the school level or higher level?
That's actually a very great question. One sentence, I don't know how that can be answered in one sentence. But basically, I think I'm reading on from hearing from all of the perspective of this GDN members as well as experience from Brunei as well. I think that during the pandemic, it really hits home a lot on our teachers and school leaders. There's so much expectations of school leaders as Dr. Samsideth did say that role model school. The school director doesn't really see it's funding to. So I feel that sometimes less is more. Because sometimes there's so much expectations, and that's why mental health is highly being discussed worldwide regarding that of not just students but especially teachers and students. So I do believe that less is more, but means we must know what we want. And To know what we want, we need to know what are the data, what data to collect. So it's all evidence-based. And I think that's one thing that we have learned throughout the pandemic from Brunei perspective. That's why we started on with the student learning survey, understand where our students are at so that we can move forward better without with focusing on the priority issues, but not doesn't mean that more is always better. So that's for me.
Thank you. And my message is to be resilient. The school leaders and the teachers, the students. Anything can happen because climate change, pandemic, and economic crisis for us. So we need to be resilient and how to train ourselves. The problem solving skill, 20%, all these activities and transfer and transform and integrating. That's all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samsideth, for your sharing.
From my personal point of view, I think we need to adapt to be relevant to the new era. Traditional way of teaching, traditional way of school management may not relevant to nowadays. For example, in terms of teaching methodology, you know that now the student can learn everywhere. If you still talk to the blackboard, talk to the shop, then student will get bored. Remember, psychologists speaking that if people do normally, they don't want to listen to what they have already learned, what they have already known from YouTube. Then the school, at the school still repeat the same thing till the rest of the time. Even worse, if there is a conflict between teachers and the student, this will get the situation, the atmosphere of the learning is even getting worse. That students are not interested in learning with that teacher. And at the end of the day, those students will not come to school regularly or even about because of nothing new for them. And so my message is we need to, I think is the most important thing, we need to adopt everything, I mean, like teaching and also school to the relevance, to the change of new level.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Pang, what is your takeaway message that you want to deliver to our audience?
I have a message. Yes, the same goal and reach is the only way for development. Even the students or school leaders, obviously, they need team skill. So with the teamwork, the same goal can reach anything. Even whatever happens in the future, everyone can solve the problem.
Thank you. And you, Dr. Manaf, what is your takeaway message that you want to deliver to our participants?
Thank you, Doctor. My message is, please don't go back to the old way of training. Use the computer, use the technology, and make different to the school that you lead. That's the most important thing for the school leaders to perform in their job. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Manaf. So thank you very much all the speakers of the first section. Your information, your sharing, the lesson learned, strategies, many things that we have learned from the first annual section. So again, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Phuong and the four distinguished speakers for your presentations. May I invite the guests in the hall and participants in the Zoom and YouTube platforms to take a break for 15 minutes. We'll get back at 4:15. Thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the forum, and we will start the second panel session right now. And in this session, I would like to invite Dr. Ethel Agnes Valenzuela, Director of SEAMEO Secretariat, to be the moderator for this panel session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your brief introduction. We will proceed with the country report presentation on our issue and theme, and practices and solutions to sustain the quality of education in the post-COVID-19 pandemic in Southeast Asia. So in this second panel, we have very distinguished panelists, and I will start with the Philippines. Dr. John Arnold Siena is the Director of National Educators Academy of the Philippines. John Arnold, as I call him, actually is a very prominent person helping out in the capacity building for the Philippines, for the teachers. Prior to his work at the National Educators Academy of the Philippines, the learning development arm of the Department of Education, Mr. Siena has served as DepEd Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, and of course, Assistant Regional Director and OIC Regional Director. He has been a classroom teacher as well for 14 years. And this was at the Philippine Science High School, a prestigious high school in the Philippines. And he also served as Chief of the Curriculum Instruction and Student Services Division. Without further ado, Mr. John Arnold Siena, we have 15 minutes for your presentation, and I will raise the 5 minutes if you have more presentation. Thank you so much, and please present now, John.
Situation and beyond. So I noticed that most of the presentations actually across the countries that I've presented already, they have very common responses to, we have common responses actually, I should say that even in the Philippines, we have noted that several of these responses included the closure of schools, for example, but making sure that education continued even in the midst of pandemic with the adoption of distance learning, for example, or modular distance learning, and even using technology. But as I was pointed out by my friend from Singapore, it's really about the implementation on the ground that's really making, things happen during the pandemic. For my presentation, I would zero in on the alignment of teacher professional development to career progression, basically to introduce to you our effort to come up with a professional development curriculum for our teachers. Because in that manner, we'll be able to also make sure that we really support our teachers as they engage our learners in the classroom, whether it's COVID or post-COVID situation. So as you also, as noted also earlier by a lot of country presenters, the COVID-19 brought a lot of challenges to Philippine basic education sector. And foremost of which, of course, is on the quality of learning, the teaching and learning quality resulting in learning loss. According to the study made by the local Institute for Development Studies in the Philippines, the quality of learning versus the quality of learning is, well, sad to say, poor with respect to or vis-a-vis the number of years in school. So schooling years in the Philippines do not necessarily result in equivalent learning. In fact, the figure is 13 years of schooling is equivalent only to 7 years of actual learning on the part of the learners. And this is also reflected in the report of World Bank on the learning poverty. And the Philippines was at 91.9% learning poverty rate, which is one of the lowest in the region. And that's really very sobering on our part, right? Even the COVID-19, during the COVID-19, even with distance learning, we also have high dropout rate. This is because I think that many of our learners don't find meaning in participation even in online learning. The engagement is very poor, and some of them would just opt out of class. So, and it's noted as part of the official report of the department. Distance learning modalities as well we're facing a lot of implementation issues. This access to connectivity and infrastructure is not true to all. So even while we want to, and as noted as well in Dr. Ethel's presentation, there are so many inequities and inequalities in terms of access to technology. And this is true in the Philippines. At the same time, when we send our children to homeschooling, so to speak, the parents and the community are not ready to support the learning of the learners, right? So we don't know who actually are doing the schoolwork. Is it the parents or the learners themselves? So even if the learners are doing it by themselves, they don't get enough support from parents, for example, because the parents don't know any better. They don't know how to read or write, for example. So how can they support their children at home? And one of the things that our supervisors in the field are complaining about is it's difficult to monitor distance learning. Because of the restrictions of COVID-19, we cannot go house to house and check whether the learners are really doing the schoolwork. So these are just some of the many things that we are facing in terms of the implementation of distance learning modalities. And that's why we're expecting that in 2020, post-COVID, the results of the assessment will be a little bit, very discouraging. In fact, I have a niece who is teaching at grade 5, and she had a spelling. This is a little story. She had a spelling quiz for like 10 items, 10 words. 50% of her students did not spell the words right. And these are words that are quite familiar to grade 5 learners. And if this is the situation in one school, you would imagine that in many schools as well, this can also be true. So, but I will focus more on teacher quality, because teacher quality is considered to be one of the more influential factors when it comes to school-related factors in education. And of course, we are always of the same belief that the quality of any school system cannot rise above the quality of teachers and even the school administrators. I believe personally that school administrators will play a very big role in pushing for quality education in any education system. So of course, we cannot overemphasize the importance of teachers when it comes to quality education. And that is why we always look at, by the way, I'd like to also emphasize that even when we speak of quality teachers, we should not also forget that quality teaching is not entirely because of the quality teachers. It can also be a lot of factors that come together for quality teaching to happen. But of course, as I said, quality teachers will always be a major part of quality teaching. So NAEAP, as the National Educators Academy of the Philippines, is the professional development arm for teachers and school leaders in the Philippines, decided to introduce a professional development curriculum for teachers that will be aligned to their career progression. And this is because in the past, the teachers attended training without necessarily mindful of what particular competencies they're actually trying to address. And the adoption of this curriculum and the alignment of professional development is actually guided by the fact that we have adopted a professional standards for teachers, which is similar to see competency framework. Now, so this is our sort of framework for helping the teachers build their career in the Department of Education. So we believe that teachers are at their varying levels of proficiency. So we need to be able to make that determination of where they are, so that we'll be able to support them at whatever level. So whether if they are beginning, then it is a responsibility to make sure that their professional development is also aligned to that level, so that we can push them to the next higher level of proficiency. So they begin at the beginning level, proficient, highly proficient, and distinguished. Because that's how we will be able to effect quality teaching that will result in improved learning outcomes. Now, in the Philippines, we have just we were able to successfully convince our president during the past administration to adjust our teacher positions. So we have expanded our teacher positions from teacher 1 to teacher 7, master teacher 1 to master teacher 5. And Dr. Ethel earlier made mention of the practice in Singapore where teachers can stay as teachers and they can earn salaries that can be as high as the one that is being received by their school principal. So this is the model that we have adopted at this point. But we have to make sure that when teachers get to the next higher position, or even when they reach the highest level, for example, master teacher 5, that they have the competencies to become such. So we have the PPST refers to Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers. So why PD curriculum? We would like to set a roadmap for professional learning and development of our in-service teachers, and also to ensure that our professional development programs, courses are targeted so that at the individual level, the teachers can actually decide which training programs they should attend, because this is the one that they need in order to support not just their competency level, but also to support their career progression. So what we did was to establish the basis for the professional development curriculum. So we did a rapid assessment survey. We looked at the basic education development plan, which for the first time the Philippines Department of Education has adopted, the BEDP 2030. We looked at the themes and the emphasis and the strategic direction of the BEDP. And we looked at the literature, we looked at all this data, we triangulated them, and we came up with what priority strands, therefore, should be included in the curriculum, should be emphasized in the professional development curriculum for teachers within the period of 5 years or 6 years. So the curriculum also envisions what kind of Filipino teacher we want to produce once they finish our program. So we said that Filipino teachers who should be caring first of all, because teachers and teaching, well, basically teaching is about caring for another person. It's like competent, not just competent, but caring, highly motivated, ethical, responsible, continuously learning, and innovative. And we also set out the outcomes for this curriculum. If the teacher is able to complete the program within the curriculum, they're expected to demonstrate all these list of competencies or the desired behaviors, right? So I don't want to read everything, but so this is our competency matrix. On the leftmost side are the domains of the competencies. So we have we have content knowledge and pedagogy, learning environment, and so on. So, and then you have different types of positions. So each teacher position will have specific courses that they need to participate in. So for beginning teachers, for example, all of them should undergo induction program, the purpose of which is to make sure that new teachers are able to adjust to their new role, but more importantly, to imbibe the values and the culture that they should be able to see in the Department of Education. This is perspective, by the way. This is not yet operational, but this is what we propose as something that we can adopt in order to push for quality teachers and quality education ultimately. So you will see that. Okay, I will not enumerate all the things there, but what it says is these are the domains, these are the behaviors, and these are the things that teachers at certain teacher position should be able to complete or to attend in terms of their professional development. So you can see that not all of the boxes there are filled, meaning to say these are the boxes. The boxes that are marked are the ones that will be made priority, and the priority is set out in the strategic plan of the department. So you will see there PPST career stage, meaning to say at what career stage, what training programs they need to undertake. And we also see the teacher position. So within the teacher career stage, there are teacher positions and there are expectations. Okay. And we also included PQF level or the Philippine Qualifications Framework, because this is the currency that we will be using with HEI when we convince them to credit the training programs towards a higher degree. So we need to take that into consideration as well. PD credits that they need in order to finish a particular set of trainings and for them to be able to say that for this particular position, I have finished all my courses, then maybe I'm ready to get promoted. It will also have priority strands for NEA, meaning that these are the programs and the courses that teachers will have to take because this is what we set out as priority. And then there are also priority strands for teacher position. Okay, so I will skip that one. I'll just show you that each teacher will have a teacher descriptor. Once they finish, for example, a program, then they have to be able to demonstrate certain behaviors. So I'll just skip this. The guiding principles will be that we recognize prior learning. In other words, we don't have to push the teachers to attend trainings when they can already show evidence that they are already manifesting certain desired behaviors in that particular competency level. It's inclusive and there is teacher agency. So we make sure that teachers have access to training programs, but they are the ones who will choose which training program they should attend based on their career progression, the career goals, learning progression, flexibility, and so on. So these are the curriculum priority strands. So you will see content knowledge, pedagogy, use of ICT, literacy, numeracy, and so on. I'll just breeze through them. And we aligned the BEDP or the Basic Education Program priorities with the priority strands in the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers to make sure that whatever programs we provide to the teachers, they hit several birds with one stone, right? So it's not just like trainings all over the place. And so we have literacy numeracy as one of our priority areas, STEM education, social emotional learning, 21st century skills, textbook, languages, humanities, educational technology and digital literacy, and futures literacy, because we believe that futures thinking will be one of the things that we need to already consider as we move forward to the 21st century. So other support mechanisms, to make sure that programs are complying with our standards, there is what we call the program recognition process for quality assurance, 2 minutes, so that there will be alignment of the programs with curriculum priorities and adherence to program standards in terms of design and implementation. And then the monitoring and evaluation to establish evidence of impact of PD, because so many trainings have been already conducted, but we don't know whether these training programs have impact on teacher competency and learning outcomes in the end. And we have also instituted a data capture mechanism where teachers will see their individual PD records. What trainings have they attended already, and what trainings do they need to attend, so that the decision to attend the training will be the teachers. Okay, so I guess that's my 15 minutes of presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Philippines. Thank you very much, Mr. John Arnold Siena. It's really very interesting to capture everything in 15 minutes and quite difficult, but we would like to listen to the next presenter from Singapore with the theme Forward-Looking Schools, Future-Ready Students. Isn't it interesting, right? So we have Mr. Lee Yan Kheng, Director of Professional Development Branch 1, Academy of Singapore Teachers, Ministry of Education, Singapore. Let me briefly introduce our speaker, Mr. Lee Yan Kheng. Aside from that, he is an educator with more than 25 years in service. So we are at the same age, sir. At AST, he spearheaded efforts to nurture a teacher-led culture of professional excellence and promote a strong sense of professionalism. Prior to his stint at AST, he was a senior consultant at the Center for School Excellence, where he was actively involved in reviewing the school excellence model. Wow. And provided consultancy services for school improvement. He is a leader for sure, and he is guided by the principle that the key to meaningful changes lies in the growth of the people in the organization, and leaders create this culture that inspires, support, and unleash the imagination of people they lead. I'm sure you are so excited to hear from Mr. Lee Yan Kheng. Sir, please.
Welcome, SEAMEO RETRAC Director, Dr. Ethel, Senior Secretariat Director, esteemed governing board members, and forum participants. It is my pleasure to briefly share on Singapore's priorities to sustain educational quality in the post-COVID-19 pandemic. Our work at the Ministry of Education Singapore starts with a basic purpose for education to be an uplifting force for students regardless of their background and starting point. Our commitment to our students is one of sustaining opportunities throughout their life, from preschool to the world of work, to offer them the best chance to maximize their potential. So 3 driving forces shape our education system. First, accelerated technological changes. Workers now take on multiple jobs in their lifetime and need to be reskilled regularly to remain relevant. How fast we evolve our skills, products, and services will determine our competitive advantage, both as individuals and as a nation, much more than our population size or resources. Second, the world has become more polarized and fragmented, even as we grow more interconnected and interdependent. The geopolitical environment is more volatile, with the competition of ideas and values, contestation for ideologies and influence, both of which will intensify. Third, our social fabric is evolving. Our people have more diverse aspirations and perspectives. The internet has increased access to information, but social media can also skew in the information that we are exposed to. They cater to our preferences and amplify our biases. Our youth are digital natives. Technology and social media have allowed them to stay connected and organize around meaningful causes. This has an impact on their sense of identity, self-confidence. So during the COVID pandemic, our educators on the front line have taken on additional workload, have gone the extra mile beyond the call of duty to keep our children safe, our schools open, and our learning undisrupted. COVID has accelerated many trends and heightened the need to evolve our education system urgently. Like many countries, we aim to emerge stronger from this pandemic. So for Singapore, we currently are seeking to lock in the gains in the disruptions in the long term. So if you look at the historical development of the Singapore education system, you will notice that it mirrors Singapore's economic transformation over the years. In the initial stages, we were driven by the need to survive. As a small nation, we focus on labor-intensive manufacturing. Our education system correspondingly focused on technical skills relevant to industrialization. Since 2012, we have been in the student-centric, values-driven phase of education. We focus on reducing the overemphasis on academics and increased emphasis on developing under interest, for example, emphasizing physical education, art, and music. Providing distinctive programs and increase the diversity in our education system. So examples will include applied learning programs, learning for life program. With technological advancements, disruptions, and rapid globalization, our future economy is dynamic and evolving. It's therefore critical for us to adopt a life course approach to education, right? To nurture lifelong learners with the confidence to navigate through our increasingly complex world and seize opportunities. Hence, from 2020 onwards, Learn for Life. So this is our Learn for Life agenda. As you can see, the roots of the tree represents that we are anchored on our basic purpose, education to be uplifting force for our students. The structural changes shown in the Learn for Life tree encompass our system level efforts. This includes refreshing our curriculum, one education, multiple pathways, developing a quality preschool sector, strengthening support for special educational needs. We have also further strengthened support for teachers' professional development and supporting lifelong learning through Skills Future to ensure our people are prepared for the future. So our vision for our education system in Singapore has three elements: to develop confident Singaporeans, to build a competitive Singapore, and to forge a cohesive society. So first, confident Singaporeans. Confidence starts from understanding our own strengths and weaknesses and interests. This starts from school. Then confidence comes from knowing that we have multiple pathways that give our people lifelong opportunities to acquire the knowledge and skills for success through life. Second, competitive Singapore. We will need to quickly learn, unlearn, and relearn so that we can combine and recombine ideas and knowledge, always create something new and relevant. Third, cohesive society. We distinguish ourselves as a nation that celebrates our diverse roots while forging a shared identity with a set of shared values. So how do we go about doing this? Let me just share the 5 key priorities for this presentation. I will provide additional elaboration on the first 3. Extending pathways, opportunities across the life course, nurturing confident, resilient learners, and empowering educators to steward change. So first, we are progressively implementing what we call full subject-based banding from 2020. This will increase flexibility for students to take subjects at a more or less demanding level. We will have a more porous and diverse education pathways and encourage students to take greater ownership in their education journey. So by 2023, more than 2/3 of our secondary schools would have implemented full SBD, and by 2024, the rest of the schools will be implementing full SBD. So in 2024, students can take different subjects at a more or less demanding level based on their strengths, interests, and learning needs. So this slide shows you a bit more elaboration in terms of at the secondary level, what students can take in terms of the common curriculum subjects, and at upper secondary level, the diverse subject combinations that they offer elective subjects like additional math, art, design, technology at different subject levels. We will also continue our efforts to progressively implement CCE character and citizenship curriculum in schools to anchor our students on a strong foundation of sound values, social emotional competencies, and citizenship dispositions. So where strengthening social and emotional competencies are concerned, our students will be anchored on a strong foundation of strong values. The revised CCE curriculum is based on 3 big ideas: identity, relationships, and choices. It comprises the teaching and learning of core values and social emotional competencies with a focus on developing a sense of purpose in our students. So developing students' confidence to venture beyond, to seize opportunities, engage with the world, or staying rooted in Singapore through understanding our language and culture. We will help our students develop a deeper understanding of Asia and ASEAN through a few ways. Number 1, we will enhance our humanities curriculum. We will support schools for students to learn basic conversational Thai and Vietnamese in conjunction with overseas languages. We will have International Friendship Day commemorating activities. We will target for every primary, secondary, and junior college to have an overseas partnership to facilitate student exchanges, virtual or in person. We will provide resources and professional development opportunities to build teachers' capacity in guiding initiatives. And lastly, we will strengthen our education and career guidance efforts for students to connect regional knowledge to their future work opportunities. We have also, to nurture confident, resilient learners, we have also introduced what we call the National Digital Literacy Program. The objective is to nurture self-directed, intrinsically motivated learners with values and skills to navigate, thrive in a digital and complex world. So COVID-19 provided us with the opportunity to go beyond education equity while rethinking pedagogical and instructional design. So how we go about doing it is similar to many other countries: access to hardware, equipping students with personal learning devices. We accelerated this rollout of personal learning devices to all secondary schools by end 2021, without COVID. Our Ministry of Education helps to defray device purchase costs for all students. There is no out-of-pocket cost to financially disadvantaged students. We also increase access to quality online resources to our different learning platforms. and we have increased the access to digital literacy to students, teaching students to be responsible, discerning, and effective users. In nurturing confident and resilient learners, we also seek to strengthen the support for students' mental well-being. So this includes working with community partners to strengthen schools' capacity to support students' mental well-being and to provide resources, time, space, professional development, counseling support system to help our teachers. More students from disadvantaged backgrounds to receive what we call uplifting pupils in life and inspiring family staff for support, what we call uplift support, which I'll elaborate in the next part of slides. So uplift seeks to enhance resourcing to support schools with higher proportion of vulnerable and at-risk students from 2022. Enhance pastoral care support for students in our polytechnics and ITE, and coordinate care and support for those with complex needs. And we also enhance to uplift financial support for disadvantaged students. We also strengthen our after-school care and support in schools through our student care centers, proactive outreach by schools to enroll disadvantaged students from the student care centers and after-school programs, enhance customized support to strengthen social emotional competencies and improve their connectedness to learning here and the school. And we heard from many of our colleagues, teachers are key to all that we want to do. So educators' efforts are critical to shaping the educational experience of our learners. So it is thanks to our teachers and educators' dedication and resourcefulness that we were able to keep learning during COVID-19. So schools are guided by guidelines to manage teachers' deployment and workload. So tapping on homeschool partnerships, protected vacation time, flexible work arrangement to ensure that teachers have sufficient time to rest and recharge. So schools have also been given greater flexibility to pace the implementation of initiatives, including deferring the implementation if this helps to spread out the staff workload. We'll continue to care for our teachers' well-being by enhancing resources to promote staff well-being. So for instance, staff well-being committees in schools are given resources, additional resources, in-house curated resources. Teachers are also trained as wellness ambassadors to help their peers, teachers for teachers. We also have the Teacher Work Attachment Plus, where teachers do short-term attachment opportunities either in other educational institutions or in other industries to broaden their perspectives and so better able to also guide and mentor students. Last but not least, the future of teaching and learning. So here, there are shifts towards the future. Our Minister, Mr. Chan Chun Sing, painted the vision for the future of teaching and learning in Singapore. So let me just share the 7 shifts. Transmission of knowledge to acquiring the art of sense making. So teachers will need to equip students with the skills to discern real knowledge and wisdom from vast knowledge, think critically and verify sources of information, appreciate diverse perspectives. In framing tomorrow's challenges, schools will need to provide students with experiences to ask the right questions so that they can frame the right challenges and create relevant solutions. Giving students a range of school models to choose from, we maximize their potential and strengthen our system resilience in an uncertain world. Teaching in schools to teach beyond schools and for life. Leveraging individuals' talents, we move towards leveraging team strength instead of just focusing on individual talents. Reduce overemphasis on academic development to emphasize holistic development. And finally, we recognize that many helping hands, it takes a village to educate a child. So leveraging the strengths of our community. With that, end my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Singapore. We really love forward-looking schools, future-ready students. Thank you, Mr. Lee and Kheng, for sharing and for being efficient in your time. Now, we would like to move from Singapore to Thailand. Our speaker is Dr. Boorapatis Ploysuwan, who is actually a Deputy Secretary General Office of Deputy Director of Teacher Professional Development Institute, Secretariat Office of the Teachers Council of Thailand. Let me briefly give you more background about our speaker from the Kingdom of Thailand. He completed his degree in Chemical Teaching Program and a master's degree in Audiovisual Program and a PhD in Educational Administration Program from Chulalongkorn University. He also was a teacher, just like all of us, and worked for the Office of the National Primary Education Commission at the Policy and Planning Division. He also served as a Dean of the Graduate School and the Dean of Faculty of Education at Pranakonsi Ayutthaya, Rajabat University. Before joining Teachers Council of Thailand, Dr. Boorapatis' last position was President of Pranakonsi Ayutthaya, Rajabat University, and was board member of SEAMEO RETRAC since 2019. I would like you to listen to our dear speaker because his expertise is on leadership, management, and teacher education. Sir, the floor is yours. Let's give a hand to him.
The director, Ethel, and the director, Phuong. They are our GBM, sorry, and on participants. I heard that 5 minutes or 15. 5 minutes. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank you very much for all GBM for informative presentations. Learn a lot of best practice for our countries. Right now, okay, thank you. Right now, I would like to share about some of practices and solutions to sustain the quality of education in the post-COVID-19 pandemic. Case study of Thailand. This presentation is was provided by my staff from Department of Policy and Planning of Teacher Council of Thailand. They are studied from a lot of documents in Thailand, and they found that some of practices and solutions of sustain the quality of education in the post-COVID pandemic, especially in Thailand. As I present to you follow. As you know that the COVID-19 pandemic has suddenly changed and caused of Arab to education system since early 2020. Disruption of education on teaching management have already affected in learning loss and equality in learning. COVID-19 pandemic is an accelerating factor that cause social change in our sector. This presentation will show you about some of practices and solutions to sustain the quality of education. Case study of Thailand. During the year 2020 to 2021, the first phase of facing the COVID-19 pandemic in Thailand, we found that the education is changing. Everything of education is changing teaching method in a new way for teaching and a new way of learning of Thai educator. In the fact of that, even school closes, but Thai people think that learning never stops. So the Ministry of Education has determined policies and guidelines for distance learning from the case where the school cannot open normally and adjust the teaching method to blended learning Now, the Ministry of Education is think that learning curricula has been adopted to the competence of learner by focusing on teaching and learning process of active learning and assessment to make sure that education can access to all Thai people and all area of Thailand. For reducing the inequity through the use of technology in teaching through on-air or TV learning and online learning. The COVID-19 pandemic is considered as the accelerator of global event that caused the transformation of education. Under the digital format, the result of changing teaching method from classroom learning at the school to online learning for more than 2 years, we found problem of the education gap, problem of inequality in learning, problem of adaptation of knowledge and skill in teaching method through educational technology, and problem of changing the curriculum to be flexible and integrated. In this year, the Minister of Education, together with in this year, the Ministry of Education, together with UNESCO, Bangkok, organized the second Asia Pacific Regional Education Minister Conference to review the reflect on the progress of SDG 4 implementation and recovering education in the post-COVID-19 pandemic. The conference was participated by the Minister of Education from 20 countries and endorsed Bangkok Statement 2022 toward an effective learning recovery for all and transforming education in Asia Pacific. This is the photography of second Asia Pacific Regional Education Minister Conference. The objective of the conference are review the reflect on the progress of SDG 4 implementation and the recovering education in the post-COVID-19 pandemic. In Thailand, the Ministry of Education still sustain distance learning for education institutions for adapting according to the situation and appropriate setting, but emphasize classroom teaching on site as important because because we believe that learner will be able to learn in this method efficiently. Therefore, we support and determine policies for educational institutions to return to teaching in the classroom 100% and have to implement the policy and measure to solve and prevent the result of online teaching for the past 2 years in the following areas. The first one is the learning recovery and addressing the learning crisis. First, we also support the student and educational personnel as prioritized for the COVID-19 vaccination after frontline personnel and high-risk population. 1.2 is a lunch project brings students back to school to promote equity, opportunity, and equality in education. Setting extra classroom to fulfill learning gap for end of the semester period. The fourth is a vocational education program for free education and career to create the educational opportunity. And the fifth is established for Ministry of Education Safety Center. It's a system of safety standard in educational institutions. And the second is support the use of information and communication technology to strengthen the educational system. 2.1 is support the use of ICT, enhance the quality and efficiency of learning, organizing distance learning program to reach marginalized groups, support the cost of using the internet and for students, managing online learning, distance learning through DLTV satellite, and blended learning management. And organizing the training course to build the capacity of teachers to use and integrate ICT in education system. And setting up CAPER, name of collection data assessment planning evaluation report for information technology system for disabled children in special education center. Number 3 is determine policy and measure for educational institutions. First is announce for goal of the first 3 months in the post-COVID-19 pandemic, which was not to accelerated learning in the 8 subject area of curriculum. In this slide. The second is opening classroom learning safely with COVID-19 pandemic in educational institution under measure 6, 6, and 7. The first 6 is main measures, and the second 6 is supplementary measures, and the 7 is 7 strict measures for opening educational institution. The 6 main measures are DMSGRC, is distancing, mask wearing, hand washing, testing for fever screening, and reducing and screening. This is the 6 main measures. And the second thing is 6 supplementary measures. It's composed of, first is self-care, and the second is a spoon, using the personal spoon. The third is eating freshly cooked food, and the fourth is track, mean registration in and out of school. Fifth is check, and the sixth is quarantine. Finally, the 7 strict measures for opening the educational institution to and from. The first one is assessing readiness for school opening through Thai Stop COVID Plus, TSC Plus, and following up the assessment report through MOE COVID. The second is organizing small vibrant activities. Third is organizing a food service system according to food sanitation and principle of nutrition. Fourth is environmental health standards in healthcare. Fifth is organizing school isolation incident response plan, including rehearsal. And the sixth is supervising the way from home to school via route. And the last one is seven is assessing Thai safe Thai TST and ATK result within 7 days and vaccination history to ensure safety when entering and leaving school for students, teachers, and educational personnel for school pass. In Thailand, although the Ministry of Education has a guideline and policy to cope with the problem arise from the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, in order to sustain the quality of education covering on sector. But the sudden change, the world affecting the development of education, economy, and society in the world. In the post-COVID-19 pandemic, not only sustain the quality of education, but should focus and reconsider the educational trends that are essential to the skill and quality of youth to cope with the economic and social change in the digital transformation environment. According to the difference in human intelligence, action should be considered. That I present to you is the sum of practices from Thailand. Finally, I would like to share the idea with you about the practice in Thailand is the educational management in the post-COVID-19 pandemic strongly require serious, wide, and continuous cooperation from all sectors. I think these are the main factor, the significant factor for success for Thailand to practice about the solution to sustain the quality of education in post-COVID-19 pandemic. If our country study about Thailand, we try to change our system, especially our educational system, in all levels. At the policy level, in the Ministry of Education, we try to set up the policy to change the curriculum and focus on the active learning and active teacher. We try to develop the teacher and educational personnel to be the proactive teacher, active teacher, and try to help them, try to support them to be the active teacher. And the second one is the main policy of Thai education system is try to set up the policy about innovation is education. Try to develop the student to be the innovator. This is the policy. We hope that this policy is a success. But this policy success or not, it would be focus on this factor. At the policy level, is set up policy and support the practical level. The most significant factor is in the school level. School level is composed of teacher, the families, the parents, and all sectors in the community to be cooperative to serve the policy to be success in the development of educational system. I think this some of idea in Thailand. But today, I have learned that in all countries in ASEAN, there are many the best practice about education. I think this best practice is will help Thailand to study and to approve Thailand policy about educational system. I hope I will try to study with our country with you. And if you want to study and want to share about the practice about education development, I think Thailand is ready to try with you to cooperate with all of you. Thank you very much.
คุณค่ะ Dr. Boorapatis. And now we would like to listen on the country report from Vietnam with the theme Recover Learning in the ASEAN region. Our speaker is Dr. Nguyen Minh. And Dr. Minh actually is at the Ministry of Education and Training as a Deputy Director General of Vietnam International Education Department before becoming the Deputy Director for General International Cooperation Department, and she had been in the position as head of International Cooperation Department for 8 years. She was also Dean of Business English Faculty for 2 years, and she was the founder of Faculty of International Education in Foreign Trade University. She had conducted a lot of training programs and was lecturer in business English since 1991. She was also UNCTAD consultant on trade issues, and she supervised all Vietnamese students and lecturers abroad and foreign students lecturer in Vietnam. We're happy to have her in the international cooperation, as we're always working with the International Cooperation Department of Ministry of Education Training. And we would like to call Dr. Nguyen Minh. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ethel. Good afternoon, Ms. Ethel, Ms. Phuong, and all the governing board members and everyone. So, as you know, in March this year in Vietnam, we have a ministerial meeting. And in this ministerial meeting for the ASEAN region, they have solved the problems of post-pandemic for education. And my presentation today is to inform you about the reports that the ministerial meeting has concluded in March, which I think it can give you a lot of information. And the theme of that is a recover learning in the ASEAN region. And with this theme, we have 3 main parts in here. The first part is learning loss and accelerated learning. The second part is access to education. And the third part is beyond education and system resilience. And now I come to the first part, learning loss and accelerated learning. For challenges and response, you see that pandemic has created different demographics, different areas. Experience loss differently. Handle is different from Laos, Singapore is different from Vietnam, with different long-term effects. And it is not just recovery. The post-pandemic environment offers opportunity for transformation. For example, digital and technical reform, better students and teacher capability, and new systems that have been put in place will be relevant for the future. Many ministries reported that learning was of higher quality and greater depth. Some have focused, for example, Singapore, on a holistic approach to curriculum reform, which has emphasized non-curricular opportunities. And successful approaches to curriculum reform have therefore commonly not been crisis responses. Rather, they have sought to ensure that changes have the potential for encouraging long-term improvements. This has implications for improving the quality of learning in the future and contributing to the resilience systems. And the last one, teaching from home. A number of systems developed new frameworks and approaches for home learning. This did not just include developing specialized resources or improving access to digital, television, or radio materials. It also involved creating an environment of support for parents and teachers. And at this time, a lot of parents become very good teachers for their students during the time of teaching from home. And for recommendation, I have some recommendation given. The first one is addressing learning loss is holistic challenge that goes beyond knowledge and skill loss. The disruption to school life brought by the pandemic has affected school communities, teachers, students, parents, school leaders, and support staff at many different levels. Learning loss solution need to consider well-being and mental health for school communities into consideration as essential precondition for effective learning. Second one, prioritize addressing learning loss of the group most at risk. School closure have had a more significant impact on long-term learning and the future of younger learners, vulnerable learners, and learners on alternative or vocational pathways. It will be important to target this group with differentiated approaches, such as focus on basic foundation skills for communication campaigns, and rethink national curricula to reflect a new vision of education for the future. During the pandemic, many countries have reduced their curricula and discovered how less content can lead to deeper learning, reinforce foundational skills, which are essential for long-term learning, and engage learners more in their own learning. Reviewing national curriculum to take this into account and the impact of digitization, global issues such as climate change and sustainability should be at the heart of education transformation for the future. And now come to the second part. It is access to education. And for challenges and response in this part, as you can see, access, as we lost, access is experienced and achieved across several differentiated dimensions. Infrastructure, internet connectivities, and device ability underpin access outside of school. Home environment and parental involvement are key determinants of access. And access is also defined by the quality of participation once learners are reached and often determined by the capability of teachers. And, cause of closures. Most ministries emphasize that the best solution is to keep school open and return to school as soon as possible by providing strong emergency and resilience planning. Digital transformation is widely viewed as a longer-term solution for a wide range of problems in systems. The pandemic has forced the resolution to these problems accelerated. And the last one, data collection and reporting on access for different populations are vitally important. Responses cannot be targeted without understanding the issues of differentiated access of girls, early year, and out of school. And for recommendation, Recommendation. The first one, beyond the accelerated progress of digital transformation brought about by the pandemic, all countries have made great progress in increasing internet access, developing education system platforms, and providing digital devices to students and teachers. This has allowed progress in addressing the digital divide and widened access to education to pre-existing vulnerable groups. However, there is still a long way to go to ensure universal access. So it is important to continue addressing digital transformation from addressing the digital divide to ensuring all teachers are trained and developed to make the most of this new environment. You know, in Vietnam, before the COVID, only some schools prepare with digital learning, but after the COVID now, most of schools have prepared for that, and from the ministry, we have issued a elaborate law and regulation concerning the digital learning in schools and universities. The second one, leverage the power of data to support monitoring and improving universal access to quality education. New technology can empower governments to understand national trends and target intervention where they are most needed, ensuring greater and fairer return on investment and more visible, positive short-term and long-term results in improving learning outcomes for all. And continue addressing underlying barriers to access to education by working across government sectors. Digital transformation is not only the solution to universal access. Underlying socio-economic and cultural issues continue to be part of the problem. Accurate, timely, and regular data collection and increased cross-sector government collaboration should be part of the overall solution. And now I come to the last part, building education system resilience. And for challenges and response, first, stakeholder role. The involvement of the private sector must be sustainable, using PPPs for specific service provision around online learning, increased involvement of communities and parents offers a valuable resource during closure and should also be preserved in the future. Expansion of monitoring capability and data reporting beyond to manage students and teachers remotely are now mixed in, and this added capacity will improve data quality on system performance into the future. And there is an opportunity to integrate the crisis response elements, teacher training, and student support into future training, make the most of the new skills developed. And as indicated by findings regarding opportunity for curriculum development, there is value in making curriculum writing and development platform agnostic. For example, designed in such a way to be suited on variety of platforms, media, and devices. And the same requirement extends to preparing teaching and learning materials. And the last one, a broadening of the areas. The new practice have led to challenges, a broadening of the area in which teachers need to incorporate new practices into their normal. For recommendation, the first one, embrace the opportunity to transform education to the future while addressing pre-existing system weaknesses.
the pandemic has revealed pre-existing weaknesses such as scale of the learning gap and digital divide within countries, but it also turbocharged digital transformation of education system through cross-sector collaboration, public-private partnership, and intensive learning. And celebrate and invest school as essential stakeholder within communities. School closures have increased the understanding of the crucial role played by schools in communities beyond providing education to young people. There is a global consensus that learning in school works best, but also that the future of education is blended learning. Investing in school to ensure they are adapted for this model and training teachers and learners in being effective in this environment will improve access to quality education. And recognize the central role of school leaders and teachers as agents of change and invest in their training accordingly. School leaders and teachers are at the forefront of education and transformation. They've had to adapt quickly during the pandemic, showing their resilience and ability to adapt and develop new teaching and learning practices, often without much training. Investing in developing their knowledge and understanding the new learning environment will be a crucial part of developing effective education system in the future. Yeah, that ends my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vietnam. Thank you very much to our dear Director General for presenting a very good and a comprehensive update on how they navigate the pandemic. And I would like to call once more all the panelists to be up on stage. And our participants have already lined up questions for you. Please. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening to us, especially for those who are joining us online. And we're very lucky because we have prestigious presenters and speakers from all over Southeast Asia. And well, from sustaining gains toward quality education to forward-looking schools to practices and solutions to sustain quality education and ending up with recovery agenda in ASEAN. Very interesting. So now I have here some questions for you to answer first. Sorry for that. Dr. John Arnold, how can you make sure that this is for a beauty contest, I think? How can we make sure that our teachers are trained with sufficient competencies identified in the plan you have presented, competency plan? Is there any measurement tool for doing it? Two questions, Sir John.
Yeah, thank you for the question. That's a very good question because that's very operational. First of all, the curriculum is it actually already outlines what's important and critical for each teacher position. So if you're a teacher and you know that your teacher one, for example, so you belong to that category, you already have a list of trainings or things that you need to undertake in terms of professional development and training. In terms of monitoring the programs, part of the process is to make sure that the training program is in the professional development information system. So when a teacher participates and completes a program, that's already in the PDIS record, the personal record of the teacher. So the teacher knows what training programs he or she has already undertaken, because the DepEd, the Department of Education, NAIAP, has access to this information. They know also what trainings are already provided to the teachers. So that's how we monitor. But in terms of quality, there is monitoring and evaluation that's going to happen, ensuring that there is assessment within the program, so the teachers would know where they are at in terms of the specific competencies that are targeted in the training program. And that's also recorded, because the teachers will have to be rated, and their rating will be recorded in their PDIS account.
Okay. So all accounted, all recorded, okay? And they are necessary for renewal of licenses, right? So in our system, everything has to be there for you to renew your license, non-recording of professional development and what you have gained, what competences you have gained will not give you the renewal. But more than that, let's now go to the Singapore case. So here, question is, how do you prepare teachers be ready to accomplish the Ministry of Education's vision of success? And do you have any policies for teacher professional development regarding this issue, sir?
Okay. How do we prepare for teachers to be ready to accomplish MOE's vision of success? This is a perennial issue because teacher competencies are key for every country. So for us, we have I'm not sure if you're familiar with us, SFX, Skills Future for Education. What we have done is based on the priorities that issue education, like 6 areas of in character education, in accessible literacy, in specialist education. So we highlight this and we pull this out and provide curated resources, training opportunities, areas of practice, just manage the priority. So in Singapore, we take a more what we call a philosophy of your own teacher philosophy. In other words, it's not a case of initial education, listening teachers. We trust that our teachers and help their people educated. So we take a ownership kind of. Do we have any policies for teacher professional? For many years, we have used this guideline. In this context, we say because not for our schools, we have every week, we have 1 hour or what we call professional development. Just that's something that years ago. One. Everyone is just for that time and we can machine learning is not just normal machine learning, we just and workshops order. Very important aspect of formal machine learning will take a form of workshop. It's something that since we have a conversation with colleagues, professional methods of generate learning for both teachers.
Very good response. Now let's go to Thailand. This, sir, is about the strategies of the Ministry of Education and the Year Council on dealing with students in disadvantaged areas. So especially for those who are not well equipped with ICT skills and facilities for virtual teaching and learning. So can you share some strategies of your ministry and your department to help those in the disadvantaged areas?
I think some of practice about for student is free of education try to develop digital platform for the student, for the teacher. This digital platform is online for all students. The teacher and student can access this platform to study subject that one. Teacher is we have the digital platform called Move. Is for the higher education. For the student is Ministry of Education is digital platform for many subjects for the student in the primary school and secondary school. So they can use the platform to study where they want. This example of practice about ICT in Ministry of Education of Thailand.
Thank you very much, sir. And I also know that there are many modalities for accessing education in Thailand. It's also in television channels and also on modules and many more. So for the last speaker, I don't have question from the audience, but could you tell us, because it's about recovery, right? So if we have bigger budget, like in Southeast Asia, where will you put this budget for recovery? So, because you are also in financing in your past career. So if I have 5 billion, where will I put the money for recovery?
This question is rather difficult for me to take personally or from the government point of view. Actually, the government of Vietnam wants to invest in digital transformation. Yeah, most important. And the Prime Minister has called for the Ministry of Information, Education and Training to utilize all the financial resources for buying millions of iPads for students to study. Yeah, and this has been a big campaign in Vietnam, and we received a lot of money from the prices from people overseas. Yeah, and the curriculum from schools, as well as I mentioned, and university has been transformed into digital. All the teachers have to make their lessons into digital, telling and in parallel with the everyday tasks.
Perfect answer. So digital transformation will be the bigger investment. And I think we can see this not only in Vietnam, but in many countries. So I think we have a bigger mission here, RETRAC. We should support and contribute to digital transformation and increasing the digital literacies of teachers. A Center for Regional Training, I see that we need to adjust our 5-year development plan. And because in the pandemic, everything changed drastically, and because of the advancement in technology and in different platforms, we need to equip our teachers with the digital competencies necessary. So digital transformation and then monitoring and helping teachers, and very good vision from the Ministry of Education on how they will really support capacity of teachers and reaching the most marginalized strategy using different platforms, whether it's a hybrid online and reaching the disadvantaged area. So these are the big lessons learned from this session. So you have heard practices, you have heard solutions, you have heard plans, and the most important thing is in our region, we share the same problem and we share the same solution. So Thank you very much to our panelists. I hope that we can learn from each other some more and to continue knowing about our region and how we're able to be resilient in this time of pandemic. I'm turning over to the MC for this last part.
Thank you, Dr. Ethel, and for distinguished speakers for a wonderful panel session. Thank you for staying with us until this time of the day. And may I invite Dr. Phuong, SEAMEO RETRAC Director, to have some brief closing remarks before we say goodbye. Yes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ethel, for your moderation and all the speakers of the panel number 2 this afternoon. Distinguished speakers, during almost 4 hours this afternoon, we have learned quite a lot of sharing from 8 speakers and 1 keynote speaker from the 8 countries. It is really amazing for us to make use of the information from educational forum like this platform. From your presentation from different countries, I can see some similarity in terms of the impacts, especially the negative impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on the educational system, especially the sustainability of educational quality. However, the way each country responds to the impacts or the challenges is kind of different in terms of your different strategies, your different solutions, your different responsive plans that you presented at this forum this afternoon. So SEAMEO RETRAC is going to put together all of your precious sharing this afternoon to make it available for many other participants in our future training workshop, as well as for different schools in the region to learn from your solution, your best practices, your lessons at this forum. So at this late hour, on behalf of SEAMEO RETRAC, I would like to thank all of our distinguished speakers for taking your time to prepare for the presentation and especially for sharing a lot of information from your country related to the topic of how to sustain the educational quality in the post-COVID-19 pandemic. So again, on behalf of SEAMEO RETRAC, I'd like to especially thank Dr. Ethel. Dr. Samsideth turned to me and say, "You make Dr. Ethel work very effectively." Yes, you did. Thank you very much, Dr. Ethel. I know that you are very busy, but still you supported us a lot in all of the activities, including this forum. Thank you very much. So I wish all of you a very wonderful evening, though we work very late. So we are going to meet again to have a gathering at our welcome dinner this evening, and we have time to chat more. So again, I'd like to close this educational forum, and again, thank you very much. We will meet again this evening. And to our online participants, thank you all very much for your interest in this forum, and I hope that you can find a good message, you can find good lessons to learn, good solutions that you can adopt from this educational forum. My thanks also go to our 2 distinguished governing board members from Myanmar and Malaysia. Have a great evening. Also, we miss you here in Vietnam, and we hope to see you again next year, face to face, but not online like this. Again, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Dr. Phuong. Distinguished speakers, this is the end of the forum, and we will see you again at 7 p.m. in the lobby, that we go to the restaurant together. I would like to have some more minutes to provide guidelines for online participants to get e-certificates. Leave now. The IT, could you please show the slide for e-certificate? Ladies and gentlemen, participants on the Zoom and YouTube platform, before saying goodbye, please do not forget to help us complete the evaluation and certificate validation form by scanning the QR code that you see on the screen. Your feedback will help us to improve the quality of our future activities. Please ensure the spelling of your full name and email address before submitting the form to us. We use a system to generate the certificate of participation according to your provided information. We are sorry for not being able to fix the certificate after sending it. Please check your email for any updates for us. Your e-certificate of participation will be sent to your email soon. For any inquiries, please feel free to contact us via email. You see on the screen. Again, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Goodbye, and hope to see you soon in our future activities. Thank you.